Keeva, I just started the live and I've got us in kind of a hold screen for a very little bit, but yeah, I've got us all muted while we're welcoming people. Looks like there's 2 people on. So thank you for joining us, Keeva, and I'll be introducing everyone shortly. I'm just going to give people like 2 minutes or so just to get online. Hello. I can work technology. Hi, guys. Hello, hello. Welcome.
Hi.
So, hello,
Splish,
everyone.
splash.
Thank you, my fellow Mer friends, for joining me, and thank you to whomever is watching online for joining us to talk about hashtag Merfolk for Black Lives and just talk about what is going on. Truly, I'm going to say in the world today, but really, we're really talking about what has been happening here in the United States since the inception of the United States. I started Merfolk for Black Lives just as an accessible way for folks to start talking about and engaging in conversations about race. I know for a lot of non-Black people, it's really hard to talk about race. It's scary, it's intimidating. And, for a while, the polite thing to do was not talk about it and say that you don't see color. But in not talking about it and not seeing color, you erase us. And it makes it hard for us to talk about our lived experiences because it's very easy to deny them. Merfolk for Black Lives, since we are all, I'm imagining most of the people watching are Mers, Merfolk, and I'm sure some of us are just friends and fans, is just an easy way for those of us in the kind of fantasy world to go, things are so serious that even in the world of fantasy, we need to talk about what's going on. I'm very excited because this conversation is being recorded for the Mermaid podcast. And so if you find this conversation interesting and you want your friends to check it out, please go check out the Mermaid podcast. I'm not exactly sure when it's coming out, but this conversation will be played live for that. I would like to say that I want to express my gratitude to the larger Mermaid, Merfolk, Merman, Mernim, Mersun community for really taking up this Merfolk for Black Lives banner. I didn't really think that many people were going to participate, were going to engage in what was going on. And I have been blown away by how many folks have taken the time to start having hard conversations with their family. And we are here today. My hope is that as you listen to your peers and listen to other MERs about both our experiences kind of under the sea in the MER community and in our real lives, that maybe some of these stories you hear on the news don't seem so distant, and you start to understand, like, why is this stuff important? In my video talking about Merfolk for Black Lives, I said, unfortunately, racism impacts for people of color every aspect of our being. But the good news about that is if you're someone who wants to start to engage and have these conversations, you can pick anything you're interested in. So, like, obviously, you're interested in mermaids. So you can listen to our stories and you'll have like, oh, this is how it impacts Merfolk. I said in the live, if you're shopping for a house and you're going, oh, I want to make sure that we're in a good school district for my kids, research redlining and learn how like housing discrimination still happens in the United States. And then learn how that housing discrimination results in Black and brown kids having access to poorer quality of schools. And then let that lead you to the school to prison pipeline. There's whatever you're interested in. I said, if you like to smoke weed, like think about how marijuana crimes are more likely. Raise your hand, but look at who gets prosecuted for simple possession charges and who doesn't,
Right.
So it really doesn't matter what you're interested in. Unfortunately, racism impacts all of it. So find whatever is your entry point to start standing up for Black folks. The country is protesting because a lot of people have died lately, but the country is also protesting because folks are fed up. And part of the interesting, like, kind of stew of what's happened is, COVID, which is the reason, a lot of things are happening virtually and we're able to have lives like this, which is pretty cool. We found that it's impacting Black and brown people more. And it seemed like as soon as that information came out, the government was like, oh, it's only killing the Black folks. Let's open up. And so even that is part of why we're in this enough is enough. And I will tell you, for me, that in 2014, when we were marching, in 2016 for Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, right? Like at that time, it was stop killing us. Now I'm here for an epic quality of life. So a couple years ago, if we could have just gotten the police to let off people's backs, that would have been great. But now I want equality for every element of life. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation with some of my other Finned friends so we can just talk about things. So I don't know if I actually introduced myself. I am Mermaid Shay Monique. My pronouns are she, her. I am a mermaid based in the DC area. I swim with Metro Merfolk. I did start the Merfolk for Black Lives hashtag, and I also started the Society of Fat Mermaids. I'm going to go around, and Blix is wearing an awesome Society of Fat Mermaids shirt, and I am too. So you guys can't see it.
Nice.
So we're going to go clockwise. And Mermaid Jessalee, would you introduce yourself and your pronouns and why you're here today?
Hi, I'm Mermaid Jessalee. I am a she. I also am a DC-based mermaid as well as Egypt as well now. Woohoo! But right now, because of COVID, in the DC area. Started mermaiding in 2018 and have loved every second of it. I'm here today because Merfolk for Black Lives, which Shay Monique started, is incredible. I love the support that we've been given, and I do want to educate people more. And my experience as a Black mermaid has been absolutely incredible with the response I've gotten from children, families, the mer community as a whole. So would love to just elaborate on that.
Okay, Pearl.
Hi, I'm Caribbean Pearl or Mermaid Pearl. And I've been in the community since 2008, 2009. And I'm right now back in Florida. So that now is my home back in Central Florida right now, exactly in Tampa. And the reason that I said this invitation is because I think we have one more time an opportunity to change, to help people change, to help people see us, as they say, people come together, because in half a century is very little that was been changed. Yes, it's been changed. We still haven't seen change, but it's not enough, and we are tired. So I'm personally, I'm tired. I'm 52 and I'm tired. And every time the something happens, so we or don't say nothing, or we just put our head down. And I think it's time that we come together and as a mermaid see the unity, especially in with the black mermaid. It's been touched my, it's been touched my heart very deeply, because I've been there and I haven't seen in the beginning and not having been supported by other mermaids in the community. And I think that it's been changed. Like Monique say, I haven't the whole week, almost the last 2 weeks, I'm being like completely crazy about people just don't say, "Oh yeah, so we support you." No, people actually have to reach everybody. I have a lot of friends having reached me and say, "Hey, I see you. I'm with you," and it's nice to have people that actually recognize that we are there too.
Yes.
Nando.
I am Nando D of the Deep Blue Sea. I have been a merman since 2014. Thanks to Caribbean Pearl up here. She is the reason that I decided to start on this journey. The reason I accepted this invitation was to give my experience as a light-skinned member of the person of color community, and how like my experience has led to internalized racism when it comes to the way I feel about being labeled certain ways, as well as how I feel I've over assimilated to fit into a box that is a whitewashed kind of, this is the only way you can fit into the world. And as my re-education has happened, I'm realizing to be more me and more authentically me and more culturally authentically me, and how that benefits everyone with diversity and inclusion.
Blix.
Hello. I am the Blixunami. I go by he, him, she, her, they, it, everything. I don't care. I started. Well, I've been obsessed with mermaids since I was a little guppy. Got my first tail in 2012. Got my first gig in 2015, and I have been splish splashing around ever since then. I accepted this invitation because why not? Y'all, people who know me from YouTube know that I am always down for the melanated mermaid community. I am always here to lend my voice and be loud and unapologetically black
Yeah,
about everything I speak about.
and I
So
love
as
it.
soon as my
That's why I
sister,
love you.
as soon as my sister Shay Monique was like, "Yo, I'm doing this live," I was like, "Girl, let's go." So yeah, I'm excited, and I'm here to talk about my experience, and I'm also here to hear about everybody else's experience because I am a fan of all of y'all, and I am so excited for this. So yes, thank you, Shay.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're here. It looks like Keeva's having connection issues. Keeva, can you hear us? No. Okay. Whenever Keeva pops back on, we will. Oh, maybe.
Something.
Uh-oh.
Keeva, can you hear us? Well, whenever Keeva comes on, we will be glad to have Keeva. All right. So I posted a picture the other day that said what did I say? I think it said the movement is intersectional. It said something is intersectional, but I wanted to talk about intersectionality.
Okay.
And as Meralda said, yes, that is what I said. Whatever it is, it's intersectional. And if you're not familiar with that term, intersectionality, I believe the term was coined by a Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, but it's the idea that we all have different elements of our identity. And like in this capitalist, somewhat oppressive world, like different things can make our lives harder. So like the simplest way, and I will I need to say this for full disclosure. I'm so excited to be like hashtag Merfolk for Black Lives. When I speak from my personal experience. I do not speak. There is Keeva. I do not speak from like books, so my stats are never right. But we know that, everybody, feminists always complain that like a woman earns, what's it, 63 cents to a man's dollar, right? But then you can break that down and it's like, okay, the Black man makes less than the white man, and then the Black woman makes less than the white woman. And so it's 79 cents. I think for the white woman, it's 79 cents. And by the time you get to the Black woman, it's 63 cents, right? And so like, if I'm looking at different things I may experience in life, like, yes, like things that are misogynist impact me as a woman, and things that are racist impact me as a Black person. I have weird privilege because of, I think, more so where I live, right? So I have like certain class privilege that I've assumed from my parents, but it's more like a geographic privilege. Like I went to an area that had amazing public schools, and so even though I was talking about redlining and school to prison pipelines, that didn't directly impact my life. But as we have different identities, if you're Black, if you're queer, if you're a woman, if you're, a person of size, like all of these different things, how much socioeconomic class you have, all impact you. And a lot of things in the world that we face are class-based because we're in a capitalist society. And so I think one of the things that is hard for white people, especially if you came from a poorer background here, is that, racism exists, because if you see that I grew up in a maybe upper middle class environment, and maybe your parents grew up, on a farm or in a trailer park, you're like, you definitely had it better than me. And in some ways I did, right? Like I had access to a better school. But then, maybe when I get pulled over, I have a different experience than you. Or when I have to go talk to a government official, I have a different experience than you. And so all of our identities are intersectional. I've seen cool things that people do, like a privilege walk, where people kind of take different steps forward and back based on different parts of their identity. But I was wondering if everybody would feel comfortable talking about how their intersectional identities impact them. So I am a Black, fat, queer, and that's not strange, but that's not a huge impact in my life because I'm now married to a cis man. So like, I don't have to worry about how I look when I go out with my husband or anything like that, but it is a part of my identity, woman. And so on different circumstances, and I am actually poor, even though I grew up in a middle class environment. And so those are kind of the intersections that I live with. And so I was wondering if you all would like to share the intersections that you kind of sit at. Jess?
So I am a Black female who actually used to be quite heavy or considered, obese before I lost, tons of weight. And that really affected my life because I was, discriminated against because of being heavy. Like, oh, you can't be a cheerleader, you can't be a lifeguard because you're heavy. Well, yes, I can. I can do everything that these thin people can do. Being Black, I've been Black all of my life, but growing up and privileged in the DC area, sometimes it's not that I forgot that I was Black, but when it was called out to me, like the way I'm treated by law enforcement or the way I'm stared at because I'm the only Black person in the room, it takes me back. I'm like, oh, yes, I am different. I guess I'm not like you. Going to private schools and then having the great experience of going to a historically Black college, that was a culture shock. It was awesome. And it taught me so much. And I value that experience of being able to be in a historically Black college and university. And that's what actually rounded me and made me who I am today. So.
Wow. What can I say? I grew up in a very poor neighborhood in Puerto Rico, and with my mom at that time we was 4 kids, but I grew up in a white family where my brother and I was the only Black people, and I grew up being Black and never looked like it was any problem. So I had neighbors or their family, but my particular family, all my family from my mother's side, they are white, and for my father's side, so he was the Black one, or the Black person, and I grew up being caught in Black. And for Latin people, we know that it's how you say it. They really, so to call somebody negro is not an offense. Is where you are. But no was until probably in third. I would say that was probably almost like 4 years that I was with my stepmother and we was driving on a road and was a class of ballet. And I guess that's actually when I started my little thing for dancing. So I get looking at it and I was like, like really surprised. And this is the first time that I remember. So my stepmother looked at me and I was like, oh, you cannot do that because ballet is not for Black people. And I was 4, and I remember, unfortunately, because a lot of things happened in my life, that I had those friends. And I was like, that's when I kind of realized that I was different. I was different because the color of my skin. And those comments the people normally do about Black people started, kind of like make sense, why people say that. But you always got the part that, oh, but I'm not racist because my grandmother is Black. Well, I'm not racist because my daughter is Black. But even in my own family, I feel division or separation just because my mom have a Black kid. So even my mom probably not direct. And again, we're talking about back in the 17th, there was a little different the ways, but that's what I say. A lot of things haven't changed. So back in the day, a lot of things was okay. No, it was until probably my 18 that I kind of like, no, it's not okay. It's not okay. And I started, open, trying to find and define it with myself. But, and like many people, was having places that I was not allowed to enter because of the color of my skin. Was one hotel in Puerto Rico, they very famous. And in 1990, they told me they had to leave. And so I was with my friend from Panama, that she was Black too, but she's Black. And they told me that we had to leave, that we cannot be there. And I said, well, yeah, but the other dancers, they are part of the crew, they are here. No, you have to leave or we're going to go. And again, that was when they actually really hit me, the thing that people say, oh, no, I'm not racial. I like everybody. God make everybody equal. But it's just a say. It's a say. And starting getting a tough skin, like you want to say it like that. But no, wasn't until I moved to Florida, in Miami, I started see the stuff, like you see and hear stuff on the TV and other culture. But when I went to Miami, was only Black. I was Latina. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm a woman, and I started see a lot of difficult that people was trying to put in front of me to me. Don't do stuff or not try to get what I want to do, and then. Just for the way that I grew up, yes, in the beginning, I was very, angry person, if you want to call it like that. Like I have a lot of issue with people, like saying stuff or I was having issues. So, and I say, when I discovered the dancing and obviously the entertainment business is when I actually kind of changed and I say, like we just have to work harder. So we had the same opportunities that everybody else, and everybody say, oh, yes, we have it, but we have to work harder. We have to work harder. And one of the things that remind me is it was actually when I get to Miami, probably like a month, I had to take the bus to go to the mall. Yeah, these 2 Black American women, and they was talking and saying, but they was looking at me kind of like something wrong. I was like, I don't know, maybe my breast coming out of the shirt. I don't know, because that's what the people immediately. So I was like, and so, and they told me, you are not Black. I was like, what do you mean I'm not Black? I grew up in Black. I said, they say, no, you're not Black. You're Latina. I was like, okay. And now I'm not even Black. Now I'm brown. So I don't, so many division that right now sometimes I don't know where I am. But it's been hard, and people change, and the reason, one of the reasons that I'm doing this is because I have so many people that I know, they are my friend, they love me and stuff like that. But sometimes people do comment that they thinking they don't hurt. You know, like I want to put a quick example is I have a friend, a Cubano, white, and he always like to say that, oh, if you get this machine to a white person, they're just gonna be done. But if you give it to a black person, it's gonna break it. And I was, and he's next to me. I was like, oh really? Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, no, it's nothing personal. So you're different. And I was like, how about different? How can be different? And that's why I think that we need to educate people, or people trying to, like really, like, I don't say you're racial or you don't want to say they're racial, but don't act like one.
Right. And that's exactly why we're here. I feel like, and that's literally why we're here. Everybody has these, and everybody has it. It's part of the culture of America. And so everybody has these racist ideas that are just built all into just so many different things. In the cartoons, you look at the old cartoons. I know everybody was looking at how Disney has their little like, oh, by the way, our shows used to be racist warnings with like Disney Plus now, but it's just built into everything. But we all, like, folks always go, oh, it's not you. And it's like, no, it is us. And so I want us to have this conversation to humanize it. And so that you realize that, Nando and Blix could get profiled just as easily as a George Floyd or a Trayvon Martin. And Jess and Pearl and Keeva and I can, get harassed just as easily as a Sandra Bland, and it's so easy to just go, oh, that's something that's so far away. And it's like, no, as Black people, like, there's kind of a duality we live with. And these are things that we constantly think about. I was speaking earlier about my privilege of living in, in a kind of upper class area, but also that means, like, especially with COVID, I've been taking like 3-mile walks every day. So I've been getting out of my like immediate 2-mile area. So especially, just walking around my neighborhood, I feel very conspicuously Black because there's not a lot of other people who look like me. And it's such a weird thing, do I go out in my sports bra and my bright pink shorts, as a 300-pound Black woman with natural hair, or do I tone it down to get less harassed? And like, what is, if I tone it down, am I being true to myself? And there's just this duality. But I want folks who are listening and watching to go, anytime you've gone like, oh, Black people this, or made a joke or had a thought, but then turn to their friend and go, oh, but not you, that yes, it is us.
That's what they
right.
It's not different,
Nando, would you like to talk about your intersectional identity?
My intersectionality. I am a gay, bi-curious, cisgendered male. Biracial, I guess. My mother comes from a white Puerto Rican family. My father comes from a Black Curacao family. Super dark skin. My dad's a lot more redder tone. So from there, my mother got a lot of flack for marrying my father because she married El Negro, which means the Black guy. So my mom, of course, got ostracized from her family because of that. And just growing up privy to that, obviously me being the lightest of my brothers, I got to be witness to us being treated differently and being described and labeled differently, even though we come from the same mom and same dad. Literally, we are different colors of the same litter. And so growing up in Southwest Florida is a little bit more of a very South, very right-wing kind of place. So seeing that my brother was always treated different, I decided early on when I was about 12 to fully assimilate. I decided that pretty much anything that had to do with being Black wasn't going to lead to anything prosperous or anything good. So I walked away from everything culturally and just put it all down. In that, I felt like I was missing something because my father has always explained about his Black experience. I've seen my father have the Black experience, be stopped, different things like that. As well as another intersection for me is not feeling Spanish enough, not feeling Black enough. I am light skinned, so I obviously am not Black. But I grew up only speaking English, so I'm obviously not Spanish enough. So I've always kind of, my intersection is that I've always felt not enough. In my re-education in Atlanta, I was able to kind of re-identify with Black culture and what about Black culture like is so ingrained in me that I love so much, and to re-identify and re-represent for my people, because I was able to put the struggle in a better contextualized history being in Atlanta, and I was able to get that education versus like South Florida, they don't really offer anything like that. To Caribbean Pearl's last point, there are people that I am privy to that don't think that I come from a Black father, and they think that they can say anything and that it doesn't affect me. Like, that's my dad. That's a part, that's half of me that you don't accept, that you don't respect. And oh no, but that's okay. And it's like, no, it's not. You know, you only accept a part of me. And how don't you see the problem in that? And yet I'm supposed to sit here and just kind of like let you get away with saying that? Like, no, like, so my whole thing now is just trying to take every misunderstanding as a coaching moment to just help you understand why it hurt me so much for you to say something like that, for people to do things like that. And yeah, and so that's what, you know, I wanted to be part of this, to kind of, you know, express that kind of contextualization of our lives. You know, we all have different lived experiences, you know, and it doesn't invalidate anyone else's, you know. Yeah, so that's kind of like my intersection, which is a weird one, but it's one.
Blix.
Okay, so I grew up in the hood, point blank. I went to public school. It was a nice school. It was mixed. You see Black kids, white kids, Latino kids, Asians. So I went to school with everybody. I really didn't start seeing how bad things were until I got older and graduate. Like, yeah, I was seeing stuff on TV and like, damn, like they really doing that to my people. But then like graduating high school and actually getting pulled over, having the cops tell me, "Oh, step out your car," without even telling me, "Oh, we doing this and doing that," blah blah blah. Like I've been pulled over because the cops said I was tailgating someone, and they told me to get out of my car, and they searched my car 3 times. I mean, they went in my suitcase, they threw all my clothes out, and I mean, was doing the most. And granted, they found my grinder, and I got arrested for it. And I was like, wow, okay. And then even other times I've just been pulled over. I've even had an incident where it's so crazy, y'all. Somebody down here, oh, and I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. So that tells you a lot right there.
Absolutely.
Someone decided to rob some houses in a city that's like 30-40 minutes from me, and apparently this person left my name and phone number in the house they robbed. So I had this white guy call me and was like, "Oh my God, how dare you come in my house and steal all my stuff?" And da da da. And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I know you did it because you left your name and your number here." And I'm like, "Sir,
Why would I
how
do
does
that?
that make sense?" So yeah, I had the police in my yard for at least 2 weeks. They found my Facebook. They had my Facebook printed with all my statuses and stuff written. They had a picture from the government that I don't even remember taking. Um, and it was just like I just felt some type of way. Like, damn, like I'm trying to tell y'all, I don't even drive. So how was that even me? If I'm robbing someone, why would I leave
My
my
name and number.
name and
Right.
my number there? Like, come on, guy. Like, that doesn't make sense. But yes, I've definitely had some run-ins with the police. Thank God I'm still here. Um, what else? And also being gay, being called the fag word and the sissy word, and having, you know, people look at me weird and say stuff under their breath. But I want to say I came out at 14, and I remember my best friend telling me, "Eric, are you sure you want to do this?" And this was like MySpace days, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't care no more. Like, I'm over it. I'm over hiding who I am. Like, I'm tired of acting like this straight guy who I'm not. Like, this ain't me. Like, it's draining. Like, I want to be myself. I want to be free." And she was like, "All right, Eric, are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "All right, well, I got your back. If somebody coming to you, you know it's going down." I'm like, "Yeah, girl, we're gonna get it." So I came out real early, and I've had that I don't give a F attitude since 14. And that's why I came out and did the whole YouTube thing. And I've been talking, about the mer community and how it is being black in the mer community, and like how Carbbean said, how we gotta work 10 times harder for no reason. I feel like there's mermaids out here that get hired, got a basic look, and not really doing nothing, as to where we gotta like do all these thousands
Fulfill.
of emails and do all this extra stuff just so they can see like, hey, we're here too. Like, I remember when I had a gig salad, and it was all of my pictures, and I remember having a lot of white people hit me up, be like, "Oh, do you offer aerial?" And I'm like, "This page says the Blixunami. Why are you asking me for aerial?" Which now is cool because we got an aerial that look like us. So, yay. But but yeah, that's my experience. Nothing really too crazy, but it's definitely, my eyes have been opening a lot more the older I get, especially with things going on now. And like y'all said earlier with the whole because at first I was the type that would have my white friends joke and say stuff in the whole "oh, not you though," and I'll be like, "Hey, whatever." But now it's like,
Mm-mm.
nah,
No.
don't do that. Like,
Okay.
this ain't that. Like, I've even had a mermaid right now who's like, well, a few who's been telling me stuff, and I'm like, bruh, like this for me and my people right now. Like, I'm not trying to do nothing for you right now. Like, this for me and my people. Like, this is for our time right now. Like, stop trying to tell me to do stuff for you. Like, I'm focusing on me and my community as black people. So that was just my little experience. Yes.
I got one hand cut it out. There you go.
All
Um,
right.
I would like to add something, and is I I think is everybody have happened in their life. With this is like we live in a society, unfortunately, that forget too quickly and too easy,
Yes.
Mhm.
and that's a lot of. I work in an area, priority white people and stuff like that, and I get after the George Floyd, the race started. I got one customer that engaged me and directly asked me if I was planning to go to raid and destroy the downtown. And my first reaction was, "What?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but about my work, I'm in a safety area that I cannot go crazy. So I take a deep breath, I say no, because I don't believe violence gonna resolve any problem. That was my answer to that. And he was like, oh, wow, yeah, there's, um, that's the right answer. You go, well, it's the right answer, so where is my crown? Because that's what probably the Miss America would answer in a pension. And my friend and I started, like she started singing the American, the Miss America pageant song, and started, waving and stuff like that. But the reason I'm bringing that is because, yes, as a Black woman, I learned from very young age that you just shut up, you keep your mouth shut up, you put your head down, and you and if the thing affects you, if you open your mouth, you are the problem, not that you are the problem. Like I just read before I started the chat. I was reading one post that I put on my page, and someone has been telling me that the reason that this thing happened is is awful, and particularly in this, she said it's my fault because I didn't get successful, I didn't having get thing in life. I don't know should be blame the white people, and I was like, first, I am not being blame any white people. I just put a post. There's someone right. I thought that was very interesting. I share on my page. And the thing that gonna happen here is like people thinking, number one, that this thing just happened 500 years ago, 200 years ago, 50 years ago. It don't happen anymore. And to me, I'm sorry, and I'm glad there is many Black people that are very successful. They got money, stuff like that. But you don't have to be Oprah to people hear you. So you don't have to be her because she's a rich person. Because even Oprah, I hear an interview that she was discriminated many times, making her a better person. She didn't hold that that's against her. But to me, it's like I don't, and a lot of bad things happened to me in my life, but I don't need to be, like murder or beat up to actually care. This is not me being angry with society. It's just there is enough, it's really enough. Why had to be something like they happened to George Floyd to people starting reactions? To me, yes. When I saw the video, I was like I said, I was tired. I told my husband, I'm tired that this happened because a couple of years ago, all the incident happened, and if they would change the law and we do justice, because this is not about being Black and being white, it's because about getting justice, and we are not getting justice. And people are like, oh no, you always call the Black thing, the Black people, or no, it's not that. Why the society don't want to understand that this is not about the color of the skin. Well, to me, it's not about the color of the skin. It's just because nothing having changed. So we've been fighting for years. I born in 1968. One of the most violent years they've been recorded. And what I see, yes, I go to an integrate school with Black people and white people. That was changed. But people don't continue discriminate and not be open to us, because now people can see it. Before you can do it, nobody gonna take anything. But now people are seeing what happened. People are open their mouth and they are saying, "Hey, this is not right." And I'm telling you, so with 52 years, yes, I haven't put my hand down many times in my life. And what's the point? And I was just like, say, I don't care anymore. I do whatever I want. I'm trying to be a better person every day. I still have dealing with issues like questioning why people do things now. Hey, at least they are trying. Give it the opportunity to try. Opportunity that they most of the time they don't give it to us.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. It's like now is the time. There's an energy. And I think it's important to talk about all sorts of things. And yes, people have died, and it is so sad the way we witnessed George Floyd be executed. But at the same time, like you're talking about, like a lot of us just every day we're dealing with just these tiny little microaggressions. From the, oh wow, your hair, I didn't know, whatever, to, just these slightly, a lot of microaggressions. And if you've never heard the word microaggression, please go look it up. A lot of microaggressions are things that, if you wanted to tell your manager, it would be very hard to articulate. Oh, well, they talk to me like I'm the help. And it's like, well, you are the staff. And it's like, no, it's something with the tone. But I'm really excited. I think Keeva is here with us. And I would like you to introduce yourself and share why you're here. Thank you. I'm so glad you were finally able to get connected. Thank you for joining us.
So I don't know if it's a Apple incompatibility with Apple phones and computers, but this app does not like Safari. So I was having a hard time there. It's okay. I'm here just to speak with all the beautiful mermaids and about just the things that we can do to promote equality and justice for Black lives through the platform of mermaiding and creating art and beauty in the world. I think that people are tuned into the Black Lives Matter movement right now, and that's a beautiful thing. Where we don't necessarily need to use our mermaiding to get people's attention because their attention's already on the issue. And for the first time in my life, I'm like, wow, I'm not fighting uphill. So how do we utilize our platforms to keep people engaged in that conversation, to get, reforms made in our cities? I just testified today to our mayor about divesting from $50 million from the police force. They tried to come back with 27 million and the motion didn't pass. So they're going to reevaluate it. And then I'm writing a testimony of my lifetime experience dealing with the Portland Police Department here and the trauma in my life as a Black person and as a woman. And then I'm writing several initiatives and different initiatives and different things that they need to do to be able to police themselves, like having accountability and also creating opportunities for youth, hold the police accountable for their actions. So I want to see real change, measurable change, qualifiable change.
Yes,
It's to remove those, what are it called, conflicts of interest, stop having the police themselves with internal review boards and internal kind of unionized police efforts to like keep repeating the same system of oppression that they've been instituting and perpetuating all of this time, and start having the people hold them accountable and creating laws and creating opportunities and platforms for the people to voice their concerns to the police and of interest, where their union is saying, nope, we can't do anything, you're not a police officer. So that's what I'm really interested in.
Excellent.
Awesome. I'm so glad you were able to join us, and I'm so glad you were able to go testify and still come join us. So thank you so much. So let's talk about our experiences just as Black merfolk and what experiences, positive and negative, we've had with the community. Blix, your face just lit up, so I'm gonna just let you start that conversation and we'll jump around. I gotta say, part of the reason I invited you is you're the person who'll say the things that I won't say because, I've got a Pollyanna reputation and I'd like to maintain it. So.
Y'all know what my reputation already at.
Well, that's what we like about you.
I love that about you and always have.
Thank you. I had to, man. Like, as soon as I really started getting into like doing gigs and stuff and really seeing how the mermaid world was no different than the two-legged world,
Yep.
I was like, all right, since nobody else gonna talk, I'm gonna say something. So that's what I'm doing. But good and bad experiences. I feel like when I have my tail on, when I am Blix, all my experiences are good. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience as Blix, and I thank the Almighty Universe for that because. Whew. I don't know what would happen to the other person, but usually when people see me in a tail, they're like their initial reaction is shocked. They're amazed. They're like, "Oh my god! Like you're a merman? Like those are real? Like you can do that? Like how much is your tail? Like did you make it?" Da, da, da. Like I usually get questions and people want to take pictures. Um, I've read of other well, like my sea bro Yari, he's had an experience to where he did a party before, and it was I want to say it was a pride pool party, and he was saying how a lot of the people around him was whispering and was talking trash about him being a guy in a tail, and I'm like, damn, that is so messed up. Like you around your people and you got this tail on trying to give them their life and they still not accepting you. And then this is the LGBT community, like what the hell? But yeah, I'm trying to really think. I don't think Blix has had any bad experience except for like I said with Gig Salad being asked if I had an aerial. But other than that, I don't think I've had anything bad. It's mostly been good for my part.
Wonderful. And what are your thoughts on like the larger mer community?
Um, I feel like a lot of them see what's going on, even right now, because I'm watching hard right now. I'm like, oh, so you didn't even post a black square, huh? Okay. So it's like, so I'm watching now, and I feel like at the end of the day, some white folks, they're like, hey, that's not me. That it's not affecting me. Even still, like, yeah, even more now, I'm glad to see more allies and more white people, even Latinos, Asians, everybody coming together for this Black Lives Movement, which it's kind of like for me a double-edged sword because I feel like, yay, thank you for having our back, but then it's like, but why you ain't been had our back?
Yeah.
Right.
Why it had to take for a black man to get kneeled on for you to now want to start posting all the black mermaids on your story or giving us shout outs or, like saying, oh, are you okay, Blix? What you think?
No, I feel triggered and attacked.
Yeah,
Right.
like I feel like busting some windows. How about that? How does that like what? I'm not gonna do it because they're not about to put me on CNN busting somebody's store window down. But inside, I'm like furious. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm sad. But then also I'm like, yay for people coming together, So yeah. Did I go off on the question? I hope I answered that. Was that
You
good?
answered the question. Somebody, Aloria, commented with a nod. So yeah, let's go, I guess, counterclockwise and shoot it over to Nando.
Good experiences. I mean, like I'll chuck it up to light skin privilege. I've always just kind of skated by. I have Poseidon silhouette, so it's worked well for me. So yeah, it's been a pleasurable experience until being witness to other mermaids and other people in the community. Like, once again, there are no black mermaids. Mermaid, and it's what really offends me is the level of science, pseudoscience that goes into
Yes,
why
Lord have mercy.
a person is of a specific complexion when genetically like we're all the same, and like yeah, I get it, you know, but like still we're the same people, and like just the science that goes into coming up with there's only white mermaids, that's the real negative kind of
Right.
racial negative impact that the community has had on me, like that I felt was completely unnecessary, and like damn, like you're trying that hard. So I had to do a little pseudoscience for myself, and I found Atlantis. In Atlantis,
Hey.
pseudo story was actually in the eye of the Sahara, and it's still there. There were bones in that desert. It was there, and if that's the case, everybody was black. So there goes your science. Atlantis was ruled by Poseidon's 10 children, which were all twins. The population that has the most percentage of twins is Ethiopia and Morocco. And those are both on the top and the bottom of the Sahara. So whenever Atlantis dissipated, those people moved north and south of where they got flooded out from. And so, yeah, they black. Get over it.
I love it.
Science for this lesson.
Yes. And that brings up too, like when Hallie got casted, I kept seeing people say, "Oh, to science, mermaids live deep in the water. There's no light, so they have to be white."
And
No,
that whole thing was reopening an old wound for I think everybody that's of color in the community, because we've had this debate well before Hallie got cast as Ariel. Everybody's been having this debate about black mermaids and like, you know, trying to represent and be inclusive. And then so to have like mainstream go off the deep end as well with the same shit, that really was it was hurtful for sure. That really just kind of like, oh damn, we have to have this conversation again.
right.
But once again, yes, we will constantly have to have the conversation, and the point is to keep the conversation going and to not give up on the conversation. So we got to keep it in their ear till they finally get it.
And that's why we're here, is to have conversations and to build bridges. And while we're being very honest and raw, if, you know, I said that maybe, you know, I'm so tired of people saying things about my hair, and you're like, oh my gosh, I said something about her hair, she must hate me. I don't hate you. In fact, I promise you, like, well, this is actually kind of cool. It feels like a family reunion. So we're a little bit here for Black folks, but really I'm here to build bridges and to kind of allow us to be vulnerable so that maybe, just maybe, you know, people will rethink their behaviors and be open to improving them, and not in a, you know, I said this thing once and so now, oh God, I'm a racist and I guess I should just stop trying. No, keep trying. Like we all need to keep trying, and we all need to keep doing better. And I hope you heard in our conversation that even as Black folks, we absorb anti-Blackness and have to unlearn it too. And I think that several of our stories have kind of addressed how we have to unpack and unlearn our own anti-Blackness, because that's how much is ingrained into our larger culture. Pearl, how has your experience been with the mermaid community and as a mermaid? And we believe you are the first Black mermaid in North America.
Well, actually, I think that was the first one, but thank you. But probably the first one in the East Coast.
East Coast. Okay. All right.
Probably. But I don't like to say that was the first one, because you have to go in to do research. And now I don't want to find someone, I was the first one. No. But I know at least in South Florida, I was the first one or one of the first one. And I haven't, my experience, most of the time, I will say 95% of my experience, I'm being positive and being really pleasure and enjoyable. I'm Caribbean Pearl just because you guys create me literally. I just want to be a mermaid. That's all. I was just,
Yeah.
I just like the whole mermaid uh, mythology and stuff like that. And actually, was I got friends in California at that time, and I get a little scoop about the Pirates of the Caribbean was going to have mermaids in one of the fiction movie, and that was like, I'm a pirate, so I had to be a mermaid. So that was actually how my path started. And I was working in a pirate store, and I the first person that I told them, oh, I want to be a mermaid. Yeah, what are you thinking I get? It's not such a thing as a black mermaid. What are you talking about? So you cannot be a mermaid. So they was like, okay, and go with the whole sign thing. I was like, well, I don't know, but the ocean is so big. Still, people study the ocean. Plus, if you go to a community, it's no more variety in the ocean. That's the reason so many fishes. But
Mhm.
just because you say I cannot be a mermaid, guess what? I'm gonna be a mermaid.
Yes.
But yeah, my first thing of the mermaid was I cannot be mermaid because I was black. That was the first thing. And I started doing research and finding stuff, and that was like in the beginning. In the beginning, like definitely wasn't not we are not was a market. So the few people that was out there making tail costume and stuff like that, we was on the market. There was really I feel that's what I feel. This is my experience and totally personal. Is there wasn't not much to it, at least that you was a big name. It wasn't not too much interesting in make a tail for you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
calling us for people. That's actually what I find out too. They actually the mermaid community was a big community. I thought there was just few people in Costu and in Wikiwashi. That's it, and was bigger than that. Um, and just because the the way that I am, like the okay, so you told me no, so I'm gonna do it. And the way that I kind of connect with people, especially with the entertainment people. So one thing bring to another one. So I don't really started to like thinking, like become professional mermaid, but they give me the opportunity. Like say, oh, we have this event and we want you. And most of the thing the kind of is like I haven't done a lot for the year that I'm being as a mermaid. Not oh my goodness, not because I cannot do or anything like that. It's more because I, from the beginning, you want to have a mermaid, you have to pay. So I, from day one, I make the decision that I'm not going to do, not because this is the first time. So the first time.
No free gigs.
It's exposure. This is a new event. This is a new festival. Yeah, exposure don't pay the my rent to the landlord. But
I'm dying of exposure.
but don't tell me wrong. Yes, and someone point jumping, I was like, she's a liar. I've done free stuff. That's what you think. Not every gift that you get had to be money. So I always look in the way the at least my time is paid in one way or another one, and that's why they always say, you got a sponsor, you got maybe you cannot pay me in cash, but you cover my expenses. So, and to me, yeah, break even is a good is a good gig. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately for me, it being good about me being in that position. Like like well, we cannot pay you. Okay, hey, you can find somebody else, no problem. I don't have any problem with that.
Exactly.
About that 10%, they probably that make me work harder is like, oh yeah, it's just that you don't look princess, so you don't look like our sister Ariel, and you have boobies. That's not family friendly. at all. So
Yeah, she's too sexualized.
yeah, my biggest problem in the mermaid community is not being black or being a mermaid of color, is just they have boobies and they are big. Yay! So I get and I get, so nobody supposed to be family, and they say, well, give me the opportunity. Do you thinking that only my golden top that I'm very proud and wear it almost like 99% of the time, that's the only top I have, but you don't have that. So one of the things that you learn in the mermaid community, and Nando probably know, is like, oh, you are not what the client wants.
Yes.
You all have been there, and I know it. So, like, well, you look good, but you are not. And then, didn't show you because, and it's an easy way to say no, because the color of the skin, or because the voluptuosity of your body, or because I have a friend that because she was gay and the guy proved that she was a woman. So stuff like that. And you feel like, oh my God, so what is that? And ironic, my biggest salary was one for a 4-year-old little girl, and no problem. And when I moved to California, my first gig actually was for a 1-year-old girl, and mom picked the top, and I was like, you don't think, here everybody say was like, do you not see that's a little too provocative for I was like, no, it's perfect. Mermaid's supposed to be top. And I was like, yeah, but we cannot go there. So you're gonna be kid. And, I feel really awkward because Latin, in our community, you go to a birthday party and it's kid every age. And most of the time is mommy with the kid. No, this event was, number one, the little girl was turning 1, so she's still a baby. She don't want to remember so much. But mom created the birthday, and every guest was not older than the 2 year, and was mommy and daddy with the kid. And immediately when they bring the mermaid, you see the women like husband to this side. That was kind of funny for me because I'm more like not getting gay just because suppose I'm not the princess look type, and I never wanted. Honestly, I'm sorry for all the princesses, but no, I don't want to be a princess. I prefer to be brave and go and fight and kill the dragon myself. But
yes.
But and then when I went to and here in Florida, because I have a lot of pirate friends, I was doing pretty good. But then I had to leave. I had to live in California, Nando.
We switched spots.
Don't tell me wrong. It's amazing and stuff like that. But that's when I learned that it's not what the client want, and that's the easy way to say they don't want you. And because I got another experience, there was they pick another mermaid and stuff like that. But I went to the event. It was a free event. And you see, when, and I told this to Nando, you can be a mermaid, but you have to create your personality. You need to create who you are. And so, let's say, I don't have any problem to talk to anybody, to get approached. Sometimes people get a little weirdo. So my bartender experience so help me, like, what? This train moving like, ooh,
smoking mirrors.
And they were saying, oh, but why you are not a mermaid? And I was like, oh, you guys hired them. She don't say nothing. She's sitting there. And one of the things I like about this one is like, when I was a pirate and I want to do a shooting cannon, stuff like that, the guys know, again, pirates, no, it's not for women, no such a thing, a women pirates. It's not like, and they don't let me shoot cannon because I was supposed to be a woman. So I went and get certified in artillery, shoot cannons, blah, blah, blah. But I remember that before that, everybody like, can I help? Oh no, just sitting there and look pretty. And I hate that so much. I hate that sitting down. And now I love it. And I love it because sitting down and looking pretty and doing nothing. So that was a good thing. In the industry, going with a little bit with Fernando saying,
Pearl, I'm actually going to cut you off for just a bit because I know the Mermaid podcast has a short time. So I'm going to ask Jess to share, and then I want us to keep talking, but I want to kind of like wrap the official, like, this is the Mermaid podcast segment, and then, you know, we can chat because I want to hear what you have to share. I really do. And I appreciate that you're here. So Jess, how's your experience being a Black mermaid, both with, you know, customers and as well as with the mer community at large?
So with customers, being a mermaid has been absolutely fantastic. I think that sometimes when I arrived at some birthday parties or I'm doing a show, people are shocked, especially the little kids that are Black or of color, and the white ones I don't think tend to notice. I haven't had any comments from them, but I've had actually a lot of Black kids say, "Oh my gosh!" I had one Black girl that I was literally in conversation with like my entire time I was in the tank, and I would come up and she's like, "So why are you Black?" And you can I mean, she had all these questions because of the stereotypes that she grew up with. And same ones that I grew up with, but I'm the type of person who just doesn't follow stereotypes. I've always been a swimmer, always been a fish, didn't care about what's going to happen to my hair, didn't think I'm going to drown. But just seeing their faces light up and knowing that they can be a mermaid too has been just a great experience with the mer community, in person and, you know, like on social media. It's been great. The real problem I see is in the mer groups. That's when I see the blatant racism. That's when I see the weird comments. The mer groups, I'm like shocked. I'm like, you know, the hashtag not my Ariel, all the stuff about, you know, the science behind why mermaid, like Blix was saying, the science why Black mermaids can't exist, stuff like that is where I see in the mer groups. And I'm shocked at these people who are the same people liking my page, the same people commenting, and, you know, that seem like good mer friends, mer sisters, mer, you know, folk, and they show their, I don't know if it's ignorance, I don't know what it is. It's the way that they were raised. It's something that's baffling to me, what I see going on in these mer groups. But the treatment that I've received has been incredible from customers and the mer community. I just am shocked at what I see in the mer groups.
To speak about the whole Ariel thing, at first, I was shocked that there was a Black girl that was cast as Ariel. And my whole thing was, it doesn't match the picture scene for scene. Once I was able to get over that, close my eyes and listen to the girl talk and sing, it's her part.
Yeah, and her voice, just
first initial, like, the picture, growing up with that and the nostalgia of that, like, yeah, that's what I expected to see. You know, I expected to see Hermione Granger in red hair on there. I feel that one of the bigger casting reasons why they went with a Black girl was the fact of Mira in Aquaman.
Yep.
They had that girl in the worst lace front red wig ever, and it tested so bad on camera. On all the dry shoots. If you go back and watch that movie, every dry shoot, I was obsessing about her wig the entire time. Her hair, the red. It just, man. And it frustrated me. And I can imagine that the casting directors were like, you know what? Look, Black dreads hold up in water the same as outside of water.
And they do.
Look, she light skin enough. We're just gonna make this work. She got the face. She has the thing, and they went for it. You know, Disney is moving forward in a female forward direction. They're moving in an ethnically forward direction. Get with it, or get left behind.
It's fun.
We lost
here.
Here.
Blixie Poo.
Blixie
no.
It's like his phone died.
But yeah, like at first I did kind of have that initial kind of like whoa shock, and then I was able to kind of like suspend my own kind of like bias towards it. And yeah, of course she's gonna be Ariel, you know. But yeah, like at first, like I was with everybody else in that kind of like, oh, she's not white, oh, you know. But then like, wait a minute, like this girl is amazing,
Right.
and yeah, like.
But
And it takes place in the Caribbean Sea. I think part of the decision, I have not researched this. I am not, don't you guys please still be my friend. I'm not the biggest Disney fan. Like I appreciate Disney. But you know, I'm not following, you know, all the conversations, but if Disney is realizing that representation matters, here's this story that takes place in the Caribbean, not the original Hans, or you know, the text, not the original text, but the Disney version already takes place in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But also, you know, it's not tied in the way that like Aladdin or Mulan or even, you know,
yeah, it's
Belle,
not
Beauty and the Beast. It's not tied to geography,
or regional,
right?
like,
And so
yeah,
if
like,
Disney is realizing that representation is important, you know, this is a great story that you can be radical and deal with some of these things. And we haven't talked about the statistics of Black kids swimming, but here's this way where you can, you know, add in representation, be really radical, but you're not going, okay, well, what is this little Black girl doing in, you know, China, which also would obviously not be the thing to do to like take another ethnic story, but I just am using that as a grand example. All right,
yeah,
Shireen Reyes is telling me that, oh yeah, on
because
TV
the
she had a
Tiana thing
Black
always
friend.
gets used, you
Right,
know.
you
Same
got
thing,
your
like
one.
yeah, just saying like you went for the Mulan. Like a lot of times they'll use the Tiana thing and say, oh well, we can't have a white girl be Tiana. And it's once again, it's you know, that was a historic point in a very specific regional place
Right,
of
right,
Louisiana.
Yeah.
And the story wouldn't make sense if she happened to be a white girl when she was
exactly. So I'm gonna stop us real quick just so we can kind of give our like, we're not getting off, but we're gonna give our like our final podcast thoughts because I think I'm way over time. I know we're way over time. So whatever your just last kind of, it can be how people can be better allies to you. This is, you know, just something you want to share about yourself, kind of just your last closing out podcast moment. Oh, also how people can find you, right? Like we want to amplify the voices and the access to us. So also how folks can find you. Yeah, I'll start with Jess and send it back around.
All right, so I can be found on dcmerbabe.com. My website is under construction, but actually it's supposed to go live tomorrow. So look out for my new awesome website. And one of the last things I do want to say is I have to say that I was very impressed with China for having the only Americans be 2 Black merfolk representing America at the World of Mermaid Championships this past. So that was awesome, and yay. And they did actually get a little flack for that, which was disappointing, but hey, look at them being really progressive.
Awesome. Pearl?
Okay, so you guys always can find me Facebook and Instagram and the Caribbean Pearl. That's it. The Caribbean Pearl. Yeah, the Caribbean Pearl. Be careful because the only reason I have to put the Caribbean Pearl is because Caribbean Pearl is a chain of hotels in the Caribbean.
Okay.
And if you just put Caribbean Pearl, you're gonna get a lot of things except me. So the hashtag the Caribbean Pearl. And one other thing that I want to close is or say is like a lot of things that happen is because different generations, you know, like let's talk about a little bit about the Ariel effect, the new live Ariel movie. You know, I was at home. I don't know exactly what happened in the media when they announced Halle being cast as Ariel. I get called for the Mermaid Convention in Sacramento, California, to be part and the diversity panel that they decide to create. Yes, I say yes. I was happy to do it, but I didn't really know what happened and was a bit, all this aerial, traditional aerial, they create and even say thing that maybe should be not to say or writing. But to me, and obviously, and in the convention, one of the, I was waiting because I know one of the question, one of the what I was thinking about Arian Beast cast as a black girl. And this was my answer, and yes, this is for everybody. Good.
Ah, yes.
Because now we're gonna have another mermaid movie, and that's gonna
Right.
be a job for everybody.
There we
Not
go.
only the regular area, but for us too. I'm actually, unfortunately for the coronavirus, I got my first gift for a black girl that she told their mom, I want her because she looked like me, and that was very touching. And that's very, like, and unfortunately, her birthday had to be in home, and just waiting for her. She told me, I told her, doesn't matter whatever day you pick, I'm gonna be there, and for the opportunity. But like Jessie was saying, getting more girls that and don't feel like in the back and stuff like that. And it's like she looked like me, is something that, again, I'm not a big Disney fan either, but I have other movies. But thank you, Disney, for what you open and for recognizing that diversity is what people want in this day. So we like Prince Charmant being blonde and blue eyes, but hey, some black guy, with a little bad boy look is hot.
Yes.
Nando, any closing thoughts?
Closing, I just want to express patience and understanding of oneself in that journey, and then just express having that patience with someone else in a moment where they step out of character, out of line. Let's take that moment to coach that person.
Yes.
Because a lot of times when somebody does speak out of character and they do get checked, the first thing is to be defensive, and then they're resistant towards anything. So I hate to say, we need to take the moment to rise above in that occasion and spit some knowledge on them, and what's the word I want to use? Take it as a coaching moment. To really kind of express why, and just contextualize things, and bring that face to it, so that maybe they won't step out of character the next time.
Yeah, we need to break the cycle and on all this, because most of the things that happen in this day is because we learn it. So
and it's all past traumas being re-traumatized on us.
Yeah.
And Nando,
Right.
how do people find you?
Oh, people can find me on Facebook. I am Fernando Delequoix on Facebook. My Facebook jail account is Nando DDE. That's only present when I'm in jail. And if you get a friend request from him, it is me, and it's me in this hat and a grumpy face like this. And it's because I've been put in Facebook jail. The website is under construction and will be up probably by the end of the year. Yeah. Instagram, FCVONDEES. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so on IG you can find me at _Blixunami. Facebook, I think it's Blixunami the Geechee Merm, and then I think that's it. And then for closing, all I have to say is be who you want to be, no matter what nobody say, because opinions will not buy you a tail or make you happy. And split splash on them anchovy head ass haters.
I love you, man.
And I am Shay Monique, and you can find me, not everywhere. I do not have a Twitter right now. No, I have a personal, non-mer Twitter that is inactive. But no, you can find me everywhere at Mermaid Shay Monique. You're obviously on my Facebook page if you're live now, so that's where I am on Facebook. So that means you know how to spell it, so that's perfect. mermaidshaymonique.com, Instagram, mermaidshaymonique. And I'm on Tickety Talk. I'm old. See the TikTok thing? Yeah. I'm like, what's that thing the kids do? And it's largely inactive, but I'm actually really excited. I'm thinking I'm going to do quick lessons on just different race-based issues on TikTok. So like your 1 minute lesson in accessible format. So look for that coming soon.
Yeah.
My final thoughts. I want to thank the Mermaid Cat podcast for kind of, sharing this with their audience. Pearl, when you were talking about how, you don't get discriminated against so much for the color of your skin, but because you've got boobs, like, interestingly though, that too, that's also an intersectional identity, right? Because Black women and Latinas are highly sexualized. And so, you'll see, this used to get me in elementary school, I would wear something, or not elementary school, like middle school and high school. I'd wear something and I'd get sent to the principal's office for being too sexy. But like my white friends would have the exact same outfit on and not have problems. And so that's another, even though it's not because you're Black or because you're Latina, but because you're curvy, but like, there's these Jezebel stereotypes and whatnot that, are worth looking into for people who are just trying to educate themselves. And then also, I just want to say to people like, please, 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 please call your people out, like work on unlearning and unpacking this stuff. Like, we're not going to get rid of racism with Black people saying that racism is bad. Like, duh. Like, I need, white folks to just step a little bit outside of your comfort zone and start calling your people out. And,
be the white shield.
Yes, please.
Yes. Call out your grandmama, call out your racist uncles, call out your racist aunties, because I know they're there.
Yeah, sometimes all you have to do is say why. And I'm I'm gonna say for like after we're done. But yeah, and then also I just want to say, like, go to the light, all of us, like just go towards the light. And even I've been getting a lot of people who want me to like proofread their like Facebook posts because they don't want to like offend somebody. And like, it's 2020. It's 2020. You're always going to offend somebody. But B, like, if you're really speaking with a pure heart, like, I think people can read that. So if this is not a PR stunt and this is actually how you feel, people will hear that, and most people will be forgiving. Now, I'm going to say a lot of Black people are angry right now, and they're just looking for a reason to be like, I can't believe you said that. This isn't enough. I can't speak for all of us, but in general, just like move with the light. So I'm going to call this our official end of the Mermaid podcast. And now, if anybody wants to stay on, I welcome and encourage it. I'm going to open and start reading like audience questions as they come through. And I want to have a piece. Somebody just said, dude, and letters from my friends apologizing for not acknowledging the obvious. What? I love these people. But Shireen says, great job, y'all. I want to say, like, I've been getting a lot of like, I'm not racist, but Black people, have it easier than anybody else in America. They got welfare and affirmative action. And I've been like reading this.
People are more on welfare.
Yes, I know this. I know this.
Go there. That's what I see every day at my job. So, and it's like, again, that's another stereotype. It's just
right. But it's interesting because like people will sit here and they'll go like do these whole huge paragraphs. It's like, I'm not racist. Black people, y'all just need to do better. Y'all have it easier than everybody. You got welfare, you got affirmative action. It's your fault. You've got too many single fathers. You're failing out of school. And like, I don't even like go with like the stats, but it's like, well, why? So if I have it easier than you, but my people are still ending up statistically worse off, we're gonna, by numbers, die younger, we're, gonna have maternal mortality and, just all these different things. So we allegedly we have the shortcut, but somehow we're getting the worst outcome. Then you're saying we suck. Like, you're literally saying I can't do it without the shortcut. So you're saying that I'm not as good as you, which means that you think that Black people are inferior, which I do believe is the definition of racism. So like, sometimes I just like to ask why until people get caught in their own kind of their own logic. Like, I don't even like argue with the stats. Like, I know that there's more white people on welfare than Black people. Like,
Yes.
I know that. Like, the stats can be argued, but it's like sometimes I just go, okay, so why do we have so many single fathers? Why can't we get it together? You know, what is that? Just so they can end and acknowledge their own racism. But it's also weird because America got this very strange setup where it is totally okay to do racist things, right? Up until about 3 weeks ago, it was okay for cops to kill Black folks kind of indiscriminately. It's totally okay to, you know, not hire Jess because of her hair, allegedly, you know, as long as you say something else. It's totally okay to, you know, harass Blix because somebody robbed somebody 200 miles away. Like, that's totally okay. But it's horrible to be called racist. And it's like, what?
Right.
What is that? Why is it okay to do the racism, but to call it out is the most offensive thing in the world? So that's one of my little rants that I wanted to go on when I had an audience, and I do now. So thanks, guys.
I kind of wanted to talk about kind of like the colorism, racial history of Puerto Rico and in relation to the United States. So yeah, like Caribbean Pearl, she had mentioned that like she grew up in Puerto Rico, right? And she really wasn't treated any that different besides that her mom married the Black man, right? Well, the reason for that is because back in like, you know, the 50s during segregation and when Puerto Rico became became an actual like colony of the United States, an actual territory. I believe it was back in the 40s. Yeah, I think it was in the early 50s is when they actually switched from Spain to the United States. And so what happened was everybody got American citizenship. So there was this mass migration to New York City. And in New York City around the 40s and the 50s, it was still hyper segregated. And so you have Black Puerto Ricans and white Puerto Ricans both migrating to the same city and being treated differently. And that's where colorism started in Puerto Rico. Oh, you married the Black man, like you're going to have a harder life. And that's where families started segregate, like saying, "Oh, tu casaste con el negro," you know, because the mom knew, like, "Oh, you're going to have a harder life. Like, why are you doing this to your children?" You know, like being witness to that, like literally just moving to another part of the country and then all of a sudden being treated differently, like it put value on the color. And that's kind of like the baggage that a lot of Puerto Ricans have, is that colorism and like going from a place where in the Caribbean, everybody's all these different mixes and all kinds of shades, and everybody speaks the same language and everybody speaks the same dialect, to all of a sudden you go to a different state and all of a sudden we're two very different people.
That was with the Cuban guy. I love him and I haven't seen you for a long. I love you, but
and so with Cubans, the thing happened. With Cubans, when Fidel Castro came into power, he was part of the Bolivarian government, which is very radical, very leftist, very socialist. And so what happened is the white elites left Cuba. It was white flight on a massive scale. They didn't want to get rid of their wealth, so they decided to leave. And they all moved and migrated to Miami. So Miami is actually a stronghold. And if you notice, a lot of Cubans that are in Miami are actually Republicans. And the reason is because they are actually white Cubans and they are racist towards
get in trouble with my Cuban friend
left on the island. So that's a little historical context on like Latin American kind of colorism. And then there's also Dominicans that share an island with Haiti, and Haiti is pretty much blacklisted from the world. And the term blacklisted means you ain't in. Like the whole term is pointing towards you're excluded.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So these things hold weight on our lives, and but that's part of like that kind of colorism kind of thing that like I've been witness to as I've grown up in these kind of Spanish and mixed communities. That's how I've kind of noticed and seen it play out, and then that bleeds over time, and so one affects the other. It's trauma on top of trauma that kind of leads towards these things. And so once again, patience and understanding. Like once you understand the trauma, and we're all just trying to unload all this baggage, we can kind of get somewhere. So continue the dialogue, guys.
Eloria asked about the racism in swimming. And Jess, I know that that's something that's really important to you and that you would be able to speak to better than I could. So if you could talk about kind of, racism in swimming, access to pools, Black kids.
So racism in swimming started, back in the Jim Crow days when, we weren't allowed to go to swimming pools. And we weren't ever really taught how to swim. We also didn't know about how to do our hair for swimming. And also, it's actually kind of a true statement. Black people tend to have denser bones, so we are more muscle heavy, so we do sink. And so a lot of people, even to this day, do not teach their kids how to swim. It's a well-known thing. Black people just don't swim. There's a group that I support called Black Kids Swim, which are taking youth and adults, and they're teaching them how to swim. These Black athletes, swimmers, are incredible. The swim races around the country are being, populated with more Black people, which is absolutely incredible. Black people need to learn how to swim because most of the drownings happen because of us not swimming, because of us not jumping into the pool because it's hot, it's cool to do, but they don't have any idea what to do once they're in the pool. It's just, and that just stems back from us not being able to actually have access to pools. And when Jim Crow was happening. It's horrible.
Thank you. Ooh, Shireen Rants says that the Black tech world is trying to switch the term blacklisted to blocklisted. I think that's awesome.
That's way better.
Well, I mean, I guess it technically became canceled for a while.
Right. Pegasus Springs Muses says, the most offensive thing to me is when people make the statement, I'm not racist, but it shows the level of ignorance historically, cultural insensitivity, and lack of empathy that the individual has. On top of that, if you do respond, their embarrassment escalates to a potential fight. It's such a frustrating cycle. And that's a really hard thing. I was talking earlier about that duality that we exist with. It's like, I mean, even honestly, even being here, right? Like there's a conversation I have that's very different about what's going on in the world, once I hit in broadcast and it's just a room full of Black folks than I do, when we're, in public view, but it's so frustrating to want to build those bridges, to want to, really just encourage your friends to do better, to want to make the world better, but also not be able to be like, you know what? Stop killing us. Like you said earlier, Blix, maybe I should just go burn something down, and it's like, oh, I can't say that. I mean, not, be on record saying that, even if it was just as a statement, audience.
They'll take it and run with it.
Right.
You gotta watch what we say because they'll take it and run with it, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And another thing too, from earlier when we was talking about our experience, I work at a grocery store right now. For one, yes, I've had more white people pull out that EBT card than I've seen Black. Two, dreadlocks. This woman, older white woman, maybe 60s, 70s, I don't know. I work at the register. That's the only place in the grocery store I work at. There is another dreadhead. He's a little bit taller than me, a little bit wider, and the sides of his hair is shaved. This woman comes up to me and was like, sir, my flowers are broken. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, wasn't you just back there and you gave me these flowers? And I was like, no. I think you're talking about the other guy with the long hair. She was like, oh, well, you can't tell no difference anyway. And I was like,
oh, no. No.
What? Lady, this is my 3rd week in here. Don't do it. Don't do it. I just got this job. Don't do it. But I brushed it off and I just kept writing up my customer. But all my coworkers, they was upset, especially this one white girl I work with. She was like, yo, that old white bitch is so racist. I want to slap shit out of her. Blah, blah. I was like, calm down. It's okay.
I will say I have been so grateful during this time for my white friends who are down. And I'm guessing that's those of you who are watching, honestly. I've been so grateful. Like, I know I can post stuff and I see somebody say something that's ridiculous. I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to give it about 5 good minutes. Next thing I know, my white friends who are down are like, and did you know? And it's like, cool. Yes. I do not have it in me.
Right.
I do not.
Because sometimes with us, it's like, it feels like we have to really like articulate what we want to say when really we want to just lash out and just, go in. But then we want to come off as the angry black person.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's hard, man. It's a double-edged sword for real.
Yes. Yeah. And if you are a well-meaning white, I would like to introduce you to this really awesome tool. It is called Google. Before you ask us anything, look it up. Now, some things are complicated. Some things are things that you really do kind of need insider knowledge to understand. And my parallel to that would be like a monofin, right? Like if I want to get into mermaiding, I don't know anything about mermaiding. I've never heard of a monofin. I'm just searching tail. And really I need to be looking for a monofin. And you might need an insider to say, look up a monofin, right? But some things are really basic and you can just Google it. And I will tell you, as a black friend of yours, if you tell me, hey, I tried looking up blah ba doop ba doop ba doop ba doop, and this is what I got, is it right? I'm gonna just appreciate that you at least made the effort to Google something. I have no problem most of the time answering people's questions, whatever. But sometimes people ask me things that like I know are very simple. Certain things are nuanced, right? Like so I told you about earlier, I live in a very, very predominantly white neighborhood, and I am so proud. It's like this cluster of high school girls who have been doing Black Lives Matter protests on this corner. And sometimes it's just the 4 of them out there, and I try to go out with them as much as I can for like the past, 2 weeks? They've been out there every day, and I'm so proud of them. And I was out there one day, and I was talking to my neighbor, and he was like, it seems like when Black people drive by here, they don't seem happy. Like what is that? Okay, like that's a really nuanced conversation. Mm-hmm. And I broke it all the way down from including the first time I drove by that protest. I literally thought it was a race, because like you got to visualize, you're in this all white neighborhood, you're driving by like a jogging area, you see a bunch of like teenage white girls in shorts kind of like bopping around, and I'm like, this is so tone deaf. Like we're in mourning and y'all are having a race. And then I get closer and I'm like, I hear them going, Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, oh, and then I like honk and I like wave and, do my Black Power fist. But like, it's such a quick time. So I'm like, first of all, like people aren't expecting to see this here. So that's part of the reason that they're like, I think for a lot of people, it's just straight up confusion. But then it's also like weird.
Weren't big enough.
It's also strange to be like the object. Like it's one thing to be at like a BLM protest and it's a bunch of like people of color or like a really, really diverse group. It's another thing to be like
the new cultural in thing is to be like.
And I think these kids, I believe the kids mean what they're saying and that the kids are going to be all right. And like the world is going to be a better place because this next generation is awesome. But nonetheless, it is a very like awkward thing to be like the one of a handful of Black people when people are chanting Black Lives Matter, because it's like, I mean, it's like, I keep saying save the sea turtles and you're the sea turtle. It's like, you're both, you're being like kind of put on a pedestal, but like you're also being like objectified. It's just a strange feeling. And I'm so happy.
A little bit of cynicism. Like, do you really support my life right now? Like, I mean, I know you're doing this, but like, how much of an ally are you really?
Correct. Are you going to still be doing this in December?
Yeah.
I don't know. These kids are awesome.
Will you still be protesting? And will you like be celebrating Juneteenth with everybody?
Right. Do you even know what
Mhm.
Juneteenth is?
You know what Juneteenth is?
Right. And like for
Yo.
these
No.
kids, like, do you know like how much privilege you're born into, and are you willing to unpack that? And honestly, you know, they're teenagers, and I'm guessing the answer is no, but they are standing out in the heat with like in this
Mhm.
small crowd. Cause I mean, there's
And-
something to be said for a big crowd. Like I was at a huge protest recently and it was so energizing. And I go out with these girls, and sometimes there's like, I was there the other day and it was 8 of us, and that's hard. Like that is
Mm.
hard when it's 8
Right.
people at a protest. You know, when it's 800, when it's 8,000,
Yeah.
it's one thing. So I don't know. I'm very grateful for these teenagers.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I definitely, you know, try to thank, you know, everybody that has, you know, been outwardly supportive, you know, and outwardly like posting shit, and knowing that their families don't feel the same way. You know, I appreciate those moments. You know,
Mhm.
just
But-
keep it up, allies.
I also appreciate the people who might make a statement, and then when I come back and correct them and let them know, hey, this is why it's not okay, they're like, thank you so much for educating me. I had no idea, and they'll take it down and post something and said, I was just educated by this person. I am appreciating those people to death. Like
Mhm.
it's incredible to see that type of response instead of some sort of argument. The humbleness.
Right.
Thank you for correcting me. I was wrong. I love it. I've not experienced something like that before, and seeing that happen now is incredible.
Well, something that I didn't see, I know happened as in a small scale, especially after the announcement of area being black. You even see the movement, the people starting put, the big companies starting put more people of color, stuff like that. When this happened, and I really, really, good shout out for all the companies, all the, the people that make tail, the people, the company, they say that they are going to change, and they're going to have more diversity, more people in color, more black people, mermaids, stuff like that. That one, and I see the effort. I see that they really want to do it. So I'm being way long. They see, like, I'm like Fernando. The first time, my first reaction was, well, why now, Joe? Because this happened. But
Yeah, 'cause
Yes.
it's trending.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's trending, so we're doing it now. Like,
at least they are trying. I hope, and I, I really believe that at least most of them really are doing the right thing, and it's not for getting money or or sell more merchandise and stuff like that. And and especially in the mermaid community, because I don't care what they say, I don't care what I agree. We know that in the beginning that was not like that, because let's say no was many, but was mermaid, was black mermaid in Atlanta. In Atlanta was the whole big group and stuff like that, and they didn't have the same opportunity. So shoot off for the people that are really changing, that they are like, I don't care, they want to put more ambassador, model, whatever you want to call them, good for them. But at the same time, we remember I saw a movie couple weeks ago. They called "The Hate That We Create." I don't know if anybody has seen that movie. I recommend it. It's very
they hate what we create.
yeah, the hate that we create, and is
Oh, they hate that we create.
it's a lot about the again, a kid being murdered by a cop and stuff like that. And but yes, is I saw the movie, and I like it, and I realized that yes, a lot of things that I do was because that's what I learned. That's what they teach me. They teach you, like, oh, go to that place because you this color, so I don't go to that place. So if you get stopped by the police, you get on the car, and the first thing you put, show your hands, because that's what the all the generation had teaching this us. So the way we saw the one Monique is showing is, you got this young kid, they don't understand. They just saw a guy that was completely slaughtered, was killed with a, honestly look like no reason. And these kids don't understand, but they don't understand that maybe they parent had an issue, with some groups, some ethnicity, some and stuff like that. And that's the reason they say that's the new generation. That's the generation they are going to make the change. They are going to break that cycle because we hear. So let's say like I get mad when people say, "Oh, but you just complain." No, it's not complain. It's just the anger. Yes, I'm not going to go. Say bad thing about police or anything like that. So my stepfather was a cop and he was a good one. I have my cousin my brother was killed by a cop. So but I know not all the cops are the same thing. Good people and bad people. To me what this one brought is like we tired because nothing have been done.
Right.
That's the other thing. Nothing happened. If something was doing,
Yeah.
with
I feel the real reason people are upset is the I believe the word is professional immunity.
Yeah.
And I think that is what triggered people so much. It was Breonna Taylor being killed in her own home
while she was sleeping.
While the person that they're looking for does not live there and is already in custody, and nothing was done except her boyfriend ended up being charged with murder. And then George Floyd being killed so cavalier, him knowing that he was going to get away with it, that's what really set everyone off. Like, and it was clear, like, other ones, Freddie Gray, it was 7 people on top of him. You really couldn't see. This was clear, direct, callous. And like,
and we
watch that, like the lack of humanity, like everybody's over it, like with social media, we've already been separating ourselves from community, which is person to person community. And now we're even pushed to the furthest of edges.
Yeah.
And then this happens. That's why people are so upset. And like allies, if you understand that context, like, I mean, you really need to try because it's a lot, growing up feeling hunted and then watching people be murdered that look like you is very traumatic.
Right.
What's happening right now. That's what's been happening. That is a part of everyone's lives here. I could wake up tomorrow and my aunt could be murdered.
Yep. And that's another thing that people,
white person, black person, anybody, they can just walk in your house and shoot you, kill you. That's what this is about.
Right.
When I made my statement, the first statement about the situation, so they say I got a lot of people, my white friends, people was, oh, I didn't know that you passed for this. And this is honestly George Floyd wasn't about me, but people created about me and about you guys just because. And my job, they actually do, they asked me why, why black people are angry. He was like, well, I think because we tired and and again, we understand that, unfortunately, was a white cop killing another white black person. You gotta see that the other side, a black cop killing a white person will be a lot of different. But the thing here is the only thing, 3 years ago when Tony, no, that was Tony, the kid with the hook, there was
Trayvon Martin.
Yeah. So, you know what changed in my life? What the change in my life was that I'm not allowed to wear a hook in my work area. That was that's the only change. You go, I'm not allowed to have a sweater. They have a hook, and I'm a really chilly person. Under 70 is cold for me. The thing happened. 3 years later, this has happened, And why people are angry? Because 3 years ago, something similar happened and the guy walked away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so many of them have walked away.
Yes.
Still.
And there's a history of this,
But
you know.
Yeah.
It's part of that professional immunity.
He's
But it's
having
not just the professional immunity. It's kind of like how the system was designed. And I'm so grateful. You know, I told you, I said, white people, y'all can Google. I can Google too. And so I did not know until the past like week or so that, you know, the first police were put in place to basically be slave catchers and bust up riots. So this is intentional. And you know, you have to look at, and it's been interesting, and I'm so grateful for the fact that this does feel like such a community effort and that information is so readily available. I listened to this thread by this attorney just talking about when we say crime is a construct, what we're saying is if you poison a whole bunch of kids in a city because it's good for your profits, you're not a murderer. That's just, you know, a casual business thing, even if hundreds of people die. Yeah. But if I kill you, that person to person, I'm, you know, jailed for X amount of time. Also, you know, it's almost like high crime neighborhoods are highly police neighborhoods. You know, if you're in a neighborhood with not much of a police presence and you do whatever, like just basic things that people who are used to being overly policed know about. If you're loitering, or, you know, maybe you are smoking weed in your backyard, or, you know, maybe you're just hanging out outside of a store. If there's not a high police presence, that's just like casually hanging out. But if you're, you know, a poor Black kid in a poor Black neighborhood and you're, you know, 15 at the playground, because what else are you gonna do?
Right.
Suddenly it's like, oh, you guys look like trouble, you know, and the cops are just harassing you. And all of these things, they're not isolated incidences. My husband is a 350-pound, very dark man. And it is hard for me, and I had to unlearn some stuff. But like, if we go to like the movies and we're ordering popcorn, you know, back when we could gather in large crowds, if we go to the movies and we're ordering popcorn, I have to order for him because he has learned, in order to disarm white people, to not seem threatening, he's the most mild, meek mannered, soft spoken. If we're at restaurants, and I'm like, you know, I lettered in debate. Okay, like literally I have a varsity letter for debate. So I'm like, speak up, project, let people know you're here, assert yourself. But he learned growing up in the South, and he's a bit older than me, that, you know, being a big, loud Black man
equals
scares
scary
people. Right. And so instead, you know, when he's out,
of attention.
Right, he kind of does that kind of like downward eye thing. He's really quiet like this, and I'm like, baby, like they can't hear your popcorn order. But you know, that's all the different things that people, you know, learn. And I forget how I got on that tangent. I'm also distracted by Jess's cute little dog. I'm gonna read Trish's comment. Trish says, my dad was the first Black police commissioner here in Portland, and then the first Black commissioner of police. And man, that time period sucked. Of course there was an issue. Of course there were riots, protests, kidnapping attempts, and death threats. I am so sorry you lived through that. That's
insane.
That's really intense. Really intense.
And I low-key did want to rewind, because y'all, with these tail makers, man, it's like
go ahead, let's get on it.
It's like y'all know I've been screaming for us to be on the websites and on the social medias for years now, and it's like it took for a Black man to get kneeled on the neck for y'all to want to put more Black Mers on your page. When you couldn't have did that years ago. It's like, you feel me? So it's like I'm seeing that now, especially with certain companies, and I'm like,
you know, but
you want
understand from a business perspective, it wasn't as marketable because.
Child,
and so then this becomes the thing. This becomes the thing. Black money matters.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now.
Wow.
Now.
Black
And I
money
was
matters.
told,
Where are we putting our dollars? And
I
then that becomes a
remember,
real question because white people's money is very valued in certain circles, right? And their
yeah.
money is valued, right? So then,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember when a certain tail maker was making products with mermaid designs on it, and I'm like, where the black mermaids at? And I was told, oh, they coming, you just need to wait. No, bitch, I don't need to wait. I shouldn't have to wait.
Right.
Why do I have to wait to see myself on your stuff? Like, what?
But that's why I love you, because you just decided to do your own shit.
Exactly.
Innovative.
I'm not
You
waiting.
found a person
We
that
shouldn't
can
have
create
to
your
wait.
own design. I mean,
Yeah, we shouldn't have to wait.
You and Caribbean Pearl are the reason I want to be more me, right? Because continue doing that. Like, no, okay. Like, I'm gonna go find somebody else that can.
Right. Yep.
Full body suit, fabric.
Yep. Full body suit. Arms. I need everything.
I'm gonna probably get in trouble for saying this, but the old maker sound to me like Victoria's Secret refused to make lingerie for Puerto Rico. I don't know if you guys know about that, but this guy was in Puerto Rico. That she publicly said that she's not making lingerie for fat people, and she said that in an interview, obviously, because in Puerto Rico we have Victoria's Secret, but they don't sell lingerie. They only the product, but not the clothing. Not the clothing, and this was couple, I would say already like 10 years ago, and Victoria's Secret is in bankruptcy right now. So, so they are not, because they don't want to create clothing.
They don't want to be diverse
for voluptuous people, and I'm sorry, but it's not too many skinny around.
No.
At least you 18 or maybe 20 something less. Yeah, but when you get to 24, 25, nobody's skinny anymore.
Right?
So yes, and I say, and in the beginning was, I saw that like that. It's like, okay, but you don't have market, for someone, and yeah, I've always been skinny, but I got hips.
Yes.
And I got butt.
Yes.
I remember my first tail on. I put my first tail on this. Somehow my butt gets flat. I was like, okay, it's time. It's good, but something wasn't wrong. Wasn't right there, and yeah, that was kind of like very interesting to see it. But I don't say they are going to go bankruptcy or anything like that, but yeah, our money is green too.
Yes.
The audience is resonating. This conversation about performative tail makers is definitely resonating with the audience. But I will say, like, I know someone was talking about, like, I mean, now even the NFL is all Black Lives Matter, and it's like, yo, you could have changed the whole narrative,
Exactly.
I'm not watching football until Kaepernick gets the job back.
Right.
Because he was the first one that was out there ostracized, and until he gets his job back, y'all just doing this because you see now where the money's going.
Right.
That said, I do believe that even when it's marketing, even when it's shallow, it's still powerful, right?
Yes.
Like some of y'all may have been privy to the time when I went on a Tailmaker's website and I was excited that there was like a Black mermaid on the website, and everybody was like, yeah, but this person has a history of doing this, and this. And I didn't know the history because I'm relatively new to mermaiding. And so for me to go on that website and see, myself reflected, it was powerful. But also we have to think, what happens when, you fall in love with somebody and you want to marry them? 90% of people say you need to get a diamond and get down on one knee. Why was that? Because De Beers had an ad campaign and they decided they were going to convince us that diamond engagement rings were the only way to profess your love. And because of how capitalism works in America, when every big company is slamming the same message down your throat, you got to remember TV started as a vehicle to show the ads. It wasn't about the show. It was about the ads.
Right.
And so even when it's shallow, marketing is still changing the narrative. And while it may not change the minds of older people, I think especially for kids who grow up in this new era where Black Lives Matter is being written on the streets, and where, you know, the NFL suddenly stands with Black lives, and, you know, all these big companies are saying things that they probably honestly don't believe, but somebody crafted this beautiful script. Still, representation matters, and it still changes the dominant conversation.
Yeah,
and so I do think there is some power, even just, you know, in that popping up on our screens all the time. Even when it's shallow, it still makes a difference.
We are really thank you that they are doing it, because someone had to start it.
Yeah.
Someone had to start it. So.
Yeah. And like I said, everything I still feel is a double-edged sword. It's like, yay, but then it's still like, oh, you know, like, yay, y'all support, but it's like, damn it, y'all should have did that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know?
We just have to assume positive intentions, and,
you
know, hope the community is growing, and hoping that people are growing, and B, kind of force them to that growth. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Don't be so salty about everything.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys is killing me. Well, I'm gonna tell you what my husband told me when I saw that, and I was like, because I feel like I said, yeah, and on the other hand, I was like, what went up? But what my husband told me was, you know, they are educating themselves, they are giving opportunity, and at least they are open to change, and we have to give it to the thing that they able, you know, not questioning what is the intentional, and work on that, and, you know, happy. So that it's not easy. I'm personal. I'm a lot of question. I'm human. Other way is not big, but I think the right now is they are doing the right thing, and I agree. Some people get closer, and I was like, okay, this person never talked to me in like a million years, and now they say that, you know, that they see me. So what happened 10 years ago? You don't see me,
right?
But I appreciate that they, you know, that they are trying, and they are trying because
patience. Yeah.
I say it took me many years to answer with something funny and with something negative come, you know, like that guy with the why you not go to the Ray, and you know, took me a time the okay, what I'm gonna say to him, but and the other way, I'm most of the time trying to turn everything the negative happened to me and trying to make it into something funny.
Right.
That's my shield. That's probably how I protect myself. Even after that, I go home and it's like, I just wanted, you know, to go and like punch you in the face. But yeah, that's not gonna give me any advance either. That's probably gonna be in jail for somebody else. So.
Right.
But I have, you know, I say I'm human.
Yeah, that's like grace, right? Isn't that what grace is? Like,
yeah.
Queen, remember.
You got to give people grace, and we have to assume that, you know, as people are learning, and I think a lot of Americans are learning a lot about race. They're getting a crash course in race right now. You know, when you know better, you do better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Patience.
Patience is key.
Patience.
Yes.
Be the light. Be the light.
Yeah. And I've had awesome conversations with tailmakers.
And I really think the good thing is going to happen to everyone. So it's, you know, that's the reason why slavery ended many years ago. Even it's probably other way the slavery and oh my God, it's just like had to change. You know, like you got Fernando, you have to help me with this translation. No hay mal que dure 100 años, ni cuerpo que lo resista.
Wait, no hay mal.
No hay mal que dure 100 años, ni cuerpo que lo resista.
No, wait, no hay mal si dure.
Yeah, it's like what will be the translation for man? No hay daño que dure 100 años, ni cuerpo que lo resista. You have to
like there's no hurt. There's no hurt to your body that time can't overcome. Like
kind of.
right?
It doesn't say in English, but kind of
something like that. I have to get my mom to translate.
what that mean is like, you know, like for example with the Spanish we have almost 500 years the history with the, you know, with the conquistador coming to the new world, and that's so. Yeah, they do everything they do, but in one point, people say enough. People say enough, and they started. So, and that's in Latin. I know in a lot of Latin places, but in Puerto Rico, say it's more like. Oh my God, your translation doesn't go right. You give me a minute, I'm gonna Google it and translation. I'm gonna do it because
Whitney Sparks says there's no harm that lasts for 100 years, but no body either.
there you go, that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you,
Nice.
Whitney.
Yeah,
that's right.
Nice.
That's what I'm trying to say. Remember,
it's been awesome.
remember, English is not my first language, and
y español no es mi primero también.
No, but you know, my English don't look very good, but I do.
There's also a translation that's there's no evil that lasts for a century, but no person either. Thank you, Whitney.
And I don't know that one because in this day people are living 100 years, 104. So
well, you know, it's an old saying, right?
Yeah.
Look at Queen that one's 96. She turned this year, and she looked like she should be for another 50.
But yeah, it's really cool.
Everybody get quiet.
I know. We all are quiet.
What happened?
Well, I know. I don't know.
Oh, I thought Fernando was about to say something.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you said it's really cool.
So like I just like
I'm waiting for you, Fernando.
Oh no, I was gonna say like she was talking about the whole conquistador history in Puerto Rico. There's like a whole monument like where the El Morro is, and there's like a tree stump that's 500 years old, and there's like markings of like all the years on that tree. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's really dope. But like, yeah, like the whole 1492 thing, like that was in Puerto Rico, bro. Like, so like it's always been there. And so like what I was telling Shay earlier about the Moors. So Christopher Columbus, you know, sailed the ocean blue 1492, right? Like started colonizing Americas, right? And so as they were bringing slaves, as they're colonizing all the islands going across the chain, when they get to Haiti and Jamaica, the Moors, which were slaves, freed themselves. I believe it was 1507, 1509. 1492, 1509, they had already freed themselves and were living in the mountains in Haiti and in Jamaica. And the reason why people are, the term maroon comes from is because you were left alone on an island. And it was all the slaves that had freed themselves were left alone on that island. And they became the Moors.
Oh, okay. A little history lesson. I like that.
The Maroons. They became the Maroons.
Well, don't forget
historical significance.
Mermaid is a pirate, so he knows all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there were freed Africans in the Americas all the way back from the 1500s.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
So everybody's like, oh, Jamestown, and then you know when people were actually freed in you know the United States, but there had been freed Black people in the Americas well before that,
right?
All the way back to the 1500s, and like a lot of people just don't know that,
right?
You know,
because they don't teach it.
The struggle and kind of like this overall timeline of dominion over a people that has constantly been a struggle. It's not just something new.
Right. And that's the goes to the educational system. They don't teach that. No, in school, in history class, you got slavery in that textbook for maybe a day, and that was it. Everything else was white man did this, white man did that, white woman did this, white woman did that, blah, 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 blah. Like they do not teach these kids what actually happened from start to finish and where we at now. And that's one of the issues I have with Americans, with the America educational system, is because they pick and choose, and then they brainwash the kids, and then like it's a lot. I just really, I was so glad when I graduated out of high school.
On the COVID-19 thing, significance, you know how like Cuba is the one that sent doctors all around the world to help with COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
There was a program. It got like you can't go to Cuba now, but before you could go to Cuba for educational purposes, and there is like repository of like the accumulated history of like people of African descent in Cuba.
Oh, that's dope.
That's like of like their history all the way back from like Spaniard times all the way till now. That they're still doing a lot of digging and like restoring all these old books, and
it's a lot.
Yeah, go find that knowledge for yourself and like contextualize this world, because it only helps us all navigate it better.
Mm-hmm. That goes to what Shay Monique was saying. GOOGLE.
Good old Google.
Yeah, or ask Siri. Ask Siri for those that got a little extra C coin.
Right.
You know, you can always ask Siri. She works well too.
Yep.
Friends, it's late. Except for like the West Coast people. What do you love about being Black? Like, I wanted to ask this question earlier during the recording, but yeah, like, what do you love about being Black? And I'm gonna answer, because sometimes I ask and I just send it out to y'all. But I'm answering. I don't know. It's our spirit, right? We're like so hella resilient. We literally make beauty out of pain. And I don't know. I'm gonna answer with a story. So I am obsessed. I almost think it might be too much with my 6-year-old niece. She is the most awesome little person ever. I can tell you her flaws too. She got a little bit of an attitude. She likes to argue. She has flaws, but she's also just amazing. And we have so much fun together, and she's so smart. And the other night, I got a backyard pool because of COVID, because I knew the neighborhood pools and the community pools weren't going to open. And so she came to visit. I was trying to get the pool open by her visit. And I don't know anything about pools or chemicals and all this stuff. And actually Morgana Alba has been helping me to coach me on how to get my pool set. But there was the night we thought the pool, I think, was finally technically at swimmable levels for the chemicals, but it was too late and too cold. And she's pouting. And she's so mad, and she's just sitting in it, and she's stubborn. So that would be a bad quality of the kid, which can also be awesome because she's really resilient, right? And we were in a protest, and she got rained on, and she was fine. I was like, "You need to go home." She's like, "No, I'm good." She's got her little sign. So sometimes it's awesome to be stubborn. Sometimes it's frustrating to have a stubborn kid. And I gave her this little pep talk, and I'm like, "Look, you can sit here and be mad that we can't get in the pool, or we can have fun tonight." And so we sat and we kind of made a party blowing up floaties, because we got all these floaties for the pool. So we just sat and started listening to all this old school music. And I love our history of music that, we brought from Africa, and just interspersed with all these different styles. And everybody has sampled Black music. We basically, it feels like we invented it. And we're just listening to all this music, and we're blowing up these floaties. And I've had a very intense couple of weeks. I think we've all had a very intense couple of weeks, between your friends checking on you, between I accidentally became the Black face of mermaiding, which I did not mean to do, but people have been asking me all this stuff, and it's awesome, but it's intense, and we've got all this going on. And at some point, we have all this going on, and we stopped blowing up floaties, and we're just dancing, and we're limboing under the pool scooper thing, and we're crumping and we're twerking and we're doing this, and it's me and my niece, and she's 6, and my mom who's over 60, and it was just this what, we're just gonna dance it out and just let all of this go, and it was just such a just delightful moment. And for her, she was just having a party and maybe just letting go of the fact that she was frustrated about the pool. But I think for myself and for my mother, it was just such a freeing and liberating and beautiful expression. And it was just a very genuine moment too. And it's like in those moments, I feel like always just pop up like randomly. And they're always, at least with my family, it's like always after the worst day. Next thing you know, like we're just having a random dance party, you know, and I'm shy. Like I don't dance in public. I talked about that on the Everyday Mermaid podcast. I was like, I'm a really terrible dancer. But, you know, with the 6-year-old of my mom, it's just like, yes. And you just let it all out and it's beautiful.
Yes.
And I remember when my father died, he told me, I don't know, years before he died, he was like, when I die, I don't want no boring, sad funeral. You better have a party for me like they do in New Orleans, yada, yada, yada. And so when he died, I was 19 and I took that to heart. I was like, Daddy said we have to have a party. And I remember like, and I think this is common for a lot of ethnic people, you know, and I remember we had a party. I got fireworks. That was really important to me. I don't know why. It was January. So it was like, I had to go out of state to find fireworks in January. And I remember my mother's white coworkers like coming with their, you know, platters, their beautiful platters that you bring when people die of food, and like just being like, why are these people having a party? It's supposed to be a somber occasion, you know? And they left, and you could just see how awkward it was. But that was another just like, yes, I love being Black moment. Does anyone else have an I love being Black moment?
I love being Black because of our history. I love the struggles that our ancestors went through. And to me, it's like, well, then I can be strong as well because they were strong to get through what they went through. You know, a person who's always inspired me, obviously, is like Harriet Tubman. The fact, you know, 19 times to go back down south, you know, to just save other people, to be that strong, to figure out how to create this amazing process that brought people to freedom. All the smart people, the inventors, Garrett Morgan and the traffic light stuff, you know, stuff like that, like Dr. Charles Drew, you know, all these people in our history that have done these great, courageous, and amazing things with their brains and their bodies and their, like, that's always influenced me and inspired me. And so that's why I love being Black, because of our history. And if they could do it with the limitations that they were put under, and I know that I can do whatever I put my mind to. And that's like, I don't live by the stereotype of Black people. I will be the best I can be so I can inspire somebody else to be the best that they can be. And that's why I do whatever I put my mind to and follow my dreams, because they were able to as well.
Yes, I love that.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, the what I really like about being Black or Black people is the flavor. You know, we can express ourselves with music, with, you know, no matter what happened to us in our life, we can express ourselves through the music, with the flavor, with our ancestors. You know, bomba playing in Puerto Rico is something really that touched me. Is like, I always mention to when I was dancing back in the day, and is the best time that I think I do the best dance is actually when I was sad, because through our flavor, to go to everything that we have in past, and me is nothing compared with, or, you know, my ancestor probably passed, but doesn't matter how sad people was, how bad they was treated, they always express themselves, and they use that flavor, that rhythm to lift themselves, to lift, it's what, like, doesn't matter how hard the life can be, it's always a hope. It's always the next day. So you will have the next day and say, and to me, it's a little bit, me said again, being in growing a biracial family is really hard, but always so I like Fernando, they say, oh, you sound like you are fighting all the time. You speak too loud. You did, but
I'm Puerto Rican.
But I like, you know, I like when people are happy and spread themselves, you know, like, oh, you know, you have to be tight. That's not with me. I'm sorry when not with me. So I think that being Black and just spread yourself the way that you want to do, like, if you like, Monique mentioned also, I should go with a yellow pen jogging in my community. Yeah, so I like that the colors, you know, it's just the diversity that we have. So it was what made me feel, you know, like the way that I
See,
and
we got diversity right here.
be different, chico, because see, as someone was talking about the hair, and I kind of like was thinking, like when I started, uh, in the mermaid thing, one of the things that I think that's been kind of starting lost again is like the people are not creating their own persona. You see a lot of copycat. You
Yes.
you see you
Cookie
can see
cutter.
a lot of, especially right now with all this fabric tail that everybody had the same tail. And
Mm.
when I started, you have to design your tail. Everybody you decide according your personality. And to me, you need to find identify yourself and not. And I lost it. And
Yeah.
I also get into the whole tail, but get um you need to create the hair. That's all gonna go the hair. So I grew up being bullied about my hair, and for my family, it started in my family from so I had session of drama with my hair, but when the whole mermaid thing started, and you want to create your persona and be so like every style that I was looking was already taken, and again you have to see the stereotype mermaid long hair, and it's like, and there we go, coming Caribbean Pearl, now with curly hair, was a big production. And a lot of people, when I was in California, I say, well, that's too much hair. Yeah, I was like,
What?
yes, yes, it is. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love the hair
Corona.
and stuff like that. But for my mermaid, doesn't work. It doesn't work. And like I see a lot of black mermen doing, the natural hair, the braid, the afro, and stuff like that. And I'm just dying for actually get together and have this unique picture. Everybody with different style of hair. I'm
Mm.
that's something that I always had in mind. So when I started, and I know now probably in one day we can do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just being without no mermaid, and you're gonna see my blow dry and stray and relax and try that. And that was probably until I would say 10 years ago that I set my curly kinky hair.
Whitney Sparks says your hair is so beautiful with so many exclamation points.
There you go. So that's, but yeah, this, so be unique, be different is one of the things that I like the being black. So so it's not too many Fernandos, and it's not too many Caribbean Pearl, even the people trying to say it, but not so it's
The
Yes.
one and only.
and it's like it's not easy getting all this stuff. But at least it's more easy that you jumping wet, and when you come in out of the water, it's perfect.
Right?
Yes. I
Yeah.
swear, we have the best hair coming out of water.
Yes.
I don't
You're
care
ready
what
for that photo
nobody
shoot.
says.
Something like this. It's like this
Yeah.
all the time.
Oh my god.
Yes.
What I love about my blackness is showtime.
Mm.
We know how to turn it on.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's on, and it's a fucking party.
Yep.
And like, there's no toning it back. Like,
Mhm.
save the reservations for later. Like, we're gonna have a ball, and it's gonna be a great time. In
Yeah.
Spanish, es un vacilón. Like, like you're just gonna be wilding. It's gonna be an awesome time, and just that flavor is just what I love the most. Yeah, I mean that's what I love the most.
Well, for my answer is basically all of y'all answers in one. Like Monique said, we can have the worst day ever. We turn on that song we like, and everything goes away.
Yeah.
Like what Monique, I'm gonna say what Monique again. What Jesse said, our history. We've done, and going back to the educational system, I didn't learn about Black people building everything that we built. Like, I didn't know a Black man made the stoplight until I got out of high school. And peanut butter and the light and all this other stuff. So many things that they do
The
not. The
hot
toaster,
comb.
microwave, everything. We damn near made everything. If you
Right.
want to get technical, Black people damn near made everything.
Yep.
So I love that we put our minds to something and we do it no matter what's going on. I love that we are always ready to dance, even though not everybody, even if you Black, sometimes still don't got rhythm, but that's fine because we still gonna dance. We still gonna enjoy ourselves, and and I love that we are always unapologetically Black, and I love that we like seasoning in our food.
Very important.
I love the seasoning. Give me all the Old Bay and the onions and the garlics and all the different peppers and salts and everything. Crab seasoning. Give me the chicken seasoning. All the seasonings. I want to. Yes, I want to eat in these ways. Yes, yes.
I'm gonna make it now, right now.
Right. And like Caribbean Pearl said, our hair comes in so many different textures and lengths and colors, and we can do so much with our hair. And like what Bro said, we always ready to turn up. It's like it's in the sauce. It's already in our sauce.
It's in there.
Like there. It's already in the sauce. We don't gotta open the can and add no sauce in there, no seasoning. It's already in there. So I just love everything about being Black, from our skin complexion, because we can go from the darkest Hershey Kiss chocolate to Fernando. So I love it. There's such a big range, and there's so much, and we're so powerful. And I think a lot of what we need to do as melanated Mers is show the next generation how powerful they really are, because they're not gonna learn that in school. School ain't gonna say, "Hey, little Jordan," or "Hey, little Tamika, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, or you can do whatever," because they're not gonna tell them
so. The source.
Right. Exactly. They're not. So I feel like with us being in the mermaid community, it's like really powerful. And like going back to Halle Bailey, like once that hits, I feel like the wave of Black mermaids is going to be beyond what we can believe. I feel like so many more, because I really feel like there are Black kids right now waiting.
Yeah,
they waiting on that movie. Like they're waiting, like, oh my God, as soon as I see her, I'm gonna get the tail she got. Like, or I'm gonna get some red dreadlocks, or I want the top she got. Like, I know it's gonna be so many. Oh, sorry. My mom said I was too loud. See, y'all, see how
my mama
being Black, being Black, I get excited when I get excited. I get loud. But yeah, I'm just excited. I'm just ready for all the plethora of melanated mermaids that are going to come out the blue, because I know they're coming. I know it's going to be a wave, because they're going to look on that big IMAX screen and be like, wow, I can be a mermaid. Because I've had kids repeatedly tell me since I came into the mermaid world, like, oh, you're such an inspiration. And in school, kids always tell me I can't be a mermaid because mermaids aren't Black. And I'm like, well, tell them you're going to be the first. Where you going?
Having fun with that blue screen.
What are you doing?
Did you get cold?
Yeah. It is quite true.
So you're wrapping yourself up in your blue screen. Aloria asked earlier. Where's the question? The question was about like how. Oh, here we go. Can you recommend how allies should address both events and businesses who are being backward in their policies, processes, and systems. And then Aloria elaborates to say, I mean, like when you see an event deny hiring someone because the client, or when a business has never had a POC in their reps or their photos, and it's directly because of racism. You know what I mean? I see it in the belly dance community, people getting denied because of small-mindedness. So how can we help and call that self out, especially when we don't speak over others, but also so these places actually listen?
I mean,
Just
just
speak.
expressing
Just open your mouth.
of diversity and just how trying something new can be good for you. Just give it a shot, and you'll be surprised with where it goes.
And speak out. Just speak. Yeah. Just open your mouth. That's it. That's the simple. Like her answer was in the question. Just speak.
Use your privilege.
Yeah.
And just be a Karen.
And ignore you, then speak out against them and have other people be aware of that. Hey, I just got blocked from this group because I spoke out about human rights and justice, and and that will actually cause them to change their minds. I belong to another community, the aerial community, and these conversations.
The aerial community in one word I live. Is it aerial community?
Like pole dance.
Oh, okay.
What? Aerialist.
The aerialist.
Yeah. Answer that question about the.
And there's one group that really did not. They allowed one post to talk about Black Lives Matter, and then when people would speak on that one post that they were allowing, then they would block these people from the group. So then people riled up in the group, and finally the admins were like, "We handled this wrong." They're trying to friend all the people that they blocked from the group, and I mean, because everybody spoke out and was like, "Hey, this group is saying this." I mean, it was crazy.
That's wow.
Yeah.
I fortunately was busy dealing with like life stuff, but I heard that a lot of that also was happening in the mermaid community. There was a day
in Mermaid Mania.
In Mermaid Mania. There was a day, the day I actually went to like film the like Merfolk for Black Lives video. It was so funny because I made like a quick, impulsive like Facebook post, and I just like literally just grabbed some paper from my printer and did like my first like quick picture, and then I was like, okay, let me put my actual tail on and do a more formal version of this. And the day I went to do the formal version of it, and when I finally finished, I like pulled up my phone, I had all these notifications, but then I tried to check them and they were gone, and I was like that was a blessing. That was God. I did not need to actually witness these conversations, but they got dealt with. But yeah, it is because enough people spoke up that things did change. And I know Mermaid Mania has added at least one new Black admin. Yeah, you just have to speak up. I think now is a beautiful time because every business is expected to make a statement. I mean, every business is like, right, they want to, they're expected to. And so it's a great time. And then I think the other thing is to just like, if you have the capacity, like hold folks accountable, like what's this conversation look like 6 months from now, And the other thing I'll say, and I'm a small business owner and I remember things. I owe somebody, actually, I'm glad we're having this conversation. I owe somebody a refund. They complained about a towel I had and I had tested it, but I think the like manufacturer like switched. So at first they're like, it was a very soft complaint. But I still remember that person complaining about my towel, and I pulled the towel. This was over a year ago. I'm going to refund this person for the towel. But I say that to say, like, when you're a tiny business owner, and a lot of these tail makers really are, one voice is powerful. Like when you're trying to talk to Walmart or, Target or the NFL and you email them, they have a whole, system that catches those emails. But like when you're emailing like a tail maker, or you're on their their pod group or whatever, they hear you because they're tiny businesses. And I say that for two reasons. One, your voice is heard. And two, do give them a little bit of grace because it's hard to be a tiny business. I do know it's hard to be a tiny business. And I'm not saying excuse just blatant racism. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be held accountable, but I am saying that at the same time that, these big corporations have whole PR departments to suddenly all of a sudden have commercials with all these Black kids, even though the Black kids are on quarantine because of COVID, like they have a budget in the time, when a company is less than 20 people or is only a handful of people, it is just, it's hard. And especially if somebody has to face something for the first time, like, oh, I thought I could just ignore this. I have to have an opinion about race in America. I thought I could opt out. Like I thought, so yeah, do give folks grace, but do use your voice. But know that the smaller the company is, the more people hear you, because you can send something to info@societyofatmermaids.com. I mean, I made that so it seems all cute and official, or help@societyofatmermaids.com. But guess what? It all goes, or shop@societyofatmermaids.com. All of those go to the same inbox, and it's all me. So
hey,
I love it.
And I say that to say, I think sometimes we send things out and it's like, I hope this makes its way up the chain. A lot of times there's not a lot of rungs to the chain, particularly with these mermaid companies. Like as much as they feel huge, they're really not in the grand scheme of like business in America,
Some of them need to simmer down. Some people's egos are too high. Bitch, if Beyonce ain't wear your tail yet, you need to simmer down.
I'm waiting to get booked for like
is Beyonce gonna be is she gonna be Ariel's mom, or is she gonna be Storm?
None of them.
Because everybody's talking
None of them.
100 million for a Disney contract.
No.
She got away with Lala, and she can stay with them. She can stay there.
No. She doing music for the Black Panther 2 album, and nobody knows the other 2 projects. So I don't know who came up with that Storm mess.
Well, because
now everybody dogging her out.
It obviously means that she's going to play an important character, and the only character that it would have to be would be.
But they ain't never said she was going to be in the MCU. That YouTube video started that. That was not confirmed.
Yeah,
the only thing confirmed was Disney. We don't know. It could be a cartoon. She could be a voice over in a cartoon or something. We don't know what it is. The only confirmed thing is a Black Panther 2 album song. So I don't know where the Storm thing come from. I'm feeling some type of way because everybody trying to dog her out. Like, stop. Even though, granted, I wouldn't want her to be Storm either. Like, they need to give Storm to Angela Bassett. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
But
but Angela Bassett.
Now you're talking.
So it wouldn't be
gorgeous.
Huh?
Angela Bassett as Storm, that would be so gorgeous.
Yes, right.
I thought the lady that's gonna be she's gonna be Monica Rambeau in WandaVision. I wanted her to be Storm.
That would have been a good look. Or the girl that played
voice counts, and so just keep speaking. Somebody is going to listen. Just keep speaking.
Yep.
Someone's going to listen.
That's why I kept speaking on YouTube.
Exactly.
I've never seen your YouTube. Now I have to go.
Oh, you have to.
You have to.
Brace yourself.
I'm braced.
Brace yourself, girl, because my mouth, Lord have mercy.
And he has you hollering sometimes. It's like
because I'll be like real passionate about us, man. Like I'm real passionate for my people, and I'm real passionate about us being up there with everybody else. Like we deserve it. And I mean, thankfully, I'm sure we're going to be up there once this movie hit, but I feel like we should have been up there. But, hey, like Fernando been saying, patience.
I'm a believer in like not begging for seats at people's table and building your own. I'm a big believer in that. And so as much as
beautiful,
I do want to see us represented and whatnot. I don't know, if you have a vision, you can make it happen. And that's anybody, like if you can visualize something, you can manifest that thing.
I surely did manifested him. Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And so, yes, I want to push on all fronts, but like I'm not afraid to build my own, because that's the other thing I feel that is hard with the Mer community. Well, you're listening to this podcast and I think somebody just said, you know what, you make me want to get a tail right now. And so you get the tail and then your friends are like, oh, you're an adult in the tail. Like, what are you doing? And it's almost like people feel like they have to justify their joy by going, oh, I want to do kids' birthday parties or something. And suddenly you're just following down the scripted path without ever even thinking like, is this the path you want? Did you just want to swim for fun?
Right.
Did you whatever? Like you don't have to have everybody else's Mer career.
Right. Right.
the world is wide, and as much as it feels like we're a huge mer community, we're not. I mean, if you leave our internet echo chamber, people are like, that's a thing. What?
So people till this day, they still be like, what?
Right. My favorite is when I say something about either mermaiding or mermaid modeling or whatever, and people are like, what is that? And I'm like, that is the most literal thing I can describe. Like, if I tell you I'm a contractor, you don't know if I'm building houses or I work for a company that works for the government, but nobody bats an eye. But I say, I'm mermaiding, and it's like, what is that? And I'm like, it's as literal as it can be. But yeah.
I'll be like, bro.
But that said, since there's not that many of us, we don't all have to walk or swim the same stream. You can go off into your own little lake.
I've been preaching that for a long time, because I've had plenty mermaids tell me, oh, we're doing this for kids, and you shouldn't be smoking weed with your tail on, and you shouldn't be cursing. I'm like, bitch, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do in this tail, and you ain't gonna tell me otherwise. And if I don't want to do kids parties, I don't have to do kids parties. And then another slap in the face was my first kids party. I got paid a lot of money for a 4-year-old's birthday party. So I'm telling people, like, stop. Like, don't tell people. That's my thing too. Don't tell another mermaid how to be a mermaid.
Right.
Okay, on that. I have aired caution towards certain MERS on doing certain things, like explicit kind of content, things like that. I have aired caution and been like, hey, you might want to consider the implications of said actions. I understand, like, by all means, please do you, but I guess because of like the way like I've experienced things, like I don't want to make things harder for myself. So like I have to be kind of like political the way I navigate the world, right?
No, definitely.
And so, like, when I give people my little advice or little critique, I'm not trying to change you. And by all means, anyone on here, if I ever gave y'all a critique or anything, I'm not trying to change you. I'm just like, hey,
agree. I mean, you have to know what you're getting yourself into, right?
And like, where are you trying to go with this? And is it going to serve you?
Right.
Just be aware that, okay, yeah, do you go for it. Like, yeah. But I just, I always come from a place of like caution.
Because you care.
Yeah, like, I just don't want you to like fuck your shit because, you decided to do something avant-garde. And by all means, please do the avant-garde.
Yes.
You have to make your name somewhere somehow.
But there are implications, like public implications that like can happen, and there's like other fallout from other perspectives. And I just like always want people to kind of be aware, but like still fucking do you.
Like ball and body paint.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm down.
That was awesome.
Can we roll around in body paint?
Just went to the Mermagicon Gala and got body paint.
I was living. I'm so mad I missed that. I wanted to see that in person so bad, Jessalee. I'm so glad you did that, girl. Yes, kudos to you.
That's me.
I was living. And I still was living for Caribbean Pearl at that first Mermaidian when she had that gold little tassels right there. I was like,
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, and that's probably one of the little secret that I learned from my dance instructor, Marquitos. He always telling me, because when I started dancing 21, so that was too old for any kind of dance, and I can move so like that, but back in the day, obviously, for my insecurity and so I don't know you got all these beautiful women, Robert, they put the leg just behind the other head, and I was like, and my kid was not even, not even a square, and he always told me that, just remember the dam is what is important, is what they're going to open, but is whoever stand up at the end of the audition who's going to get the job. So, and he told me this, and and it's funny because Tyra Banks used it a lot, and he said, "You fake it until you make it."
Yes.
So, that little story I want to tell you about that talk. So we were supposed to having a kind of like a god thing for the convention, and they changed it at the last minute. And this is something that a company brought to me. Actually, the guy that built the sword for Pirates of the Caribbean and the hook for the movie Hook. I had to wear it. It's a promo. I had to wear it.
Right.
But I didn't, and I was with conscience. One of the things that really at that time bothered me was like, yes, I know it was risky and everything, but I had covered up my breast.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, yeah, when they covered it, there was kind of the thing like this, but in color, natural color. So nothing was showing up. And they made this big, huge.
Yes, they did.
About it,
I
but
remember.
I do it intentionally. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, I was looking for. So was like, okay. So I always do one thing, or most of the time I do it with the costume. I try the, they get a costume that people can remember. The first one I got this beautiful conservative blue dress. I don't know. It's probably on the internet somewhere. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. So second year, I had to completely and contrast, and was something good. Yeah, I talk about it. I honestly wasn't that big deal, but because they make it a big deal, so I just let the fire go. So I just let it happen. So and then it's a plenty pictures. I probably posted one of these days. But the truth is no wasn't a pasty, no wasn't see-through. It just was the same color. And the problem there was not because they look like a pasty or anything. The problem is because my boobies look good.
Yep.
I'm sorry. It was anybody else, like in Ren Fair. One other thing, and Fernando probably know about this. In Ren Fair is a tradition, it's part of the culture of the Ren Fair that you put a corset and your breasts had to be like what I call. Well, they don't have mirror back in those days. I do have it. So I put my corset and I fix it and they have to look nice.
Yeah.
That's what I feel attracted. And go to the convention and hear so many girls, like, oh my God. So that first one I was naked. I wasn't not. And the second one was other people showing actually more than me, but the whole thing is my breasts are big.
Right.
My breasts are big.
It goes into slut shaming. Like
the whole persona, they look, they look good. That was my advice I do to any people that want to be a pirate or anything. I always the same thing, like you could be. Oh, come on! Even my Tia Dalma, the Tia Dalma is supposed to be a wish and stuff like that. And I can never sell it like that because people was like, oh my God, that's the hottest Tia Dalma that you can see. I was like, okay, there we go. Because the corset, I love corset. You have no idea. But this guy, I don't know. I didn't really get so much stuff because to me it was kind of like stupid, the whole drama that they create about it. But, I put the thing. Oh, and then they called me. And they told me that I cannot wear in that the next day. If they know me better, they know that I don't repeat outfit.
I got a corset in a different color, bitch. You didn't say I couldn't wear this one.
Because the way that they told me, that they told me, I was like, this is very simple. Tomorrow I have a lecture. Yeah, I cannot wear in whatever I want. I'm not gonna give the lecture.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in and apologize because I said was like, well, so that you guys know, is not sorry that you do, and that's one thing about convention. Convention is supposed to be to mermaid meet, learn for each other, stuff like that. It's not to make money.
Right.
I'm one that disagree that in mermaid convention you have to have all the activity as for kids because you are putting the mermaids to work for free. Yeah, I'm against mermaid working for free. I should make a hashtag about that. And a convention is you go to meet, party. It's for us to mingling and know each other. And
right.
at least the first 5 convention they went, they have so the first one wasn't because it was in Vegas. That was fun. They wanted I understand you want to create money, so put a fee to everybody, go. But when you bring kids, it's not convention, it's a festival, and they are making money, and they wanted you to work for them for free because it is what it is, and yeah, a lot. I don't know what kid like me. Honestly, I don't know why. I don't know. I have no idea why they like me, but they like me. So I had to modify my persona to adjust for the kid. But when I started, I never was intended to do parties for kids. So
right.
I didn't. That was not the trajectory that I want to get. And guess what? My biggest party, I'm being for kids, but most not because the kid. I think it's because the parent want to see me and want my costume. Especially that lady in California, in Laguna. The party not was for the little girl. The party was for her.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
She picked up the top and she literally, it was funny. She picked up the more skimpy top they have, and I asked him twice, are you sure that's what you want me to wear? And I was like, yes. Hey, she's paying. I wear whatever she told me. She told me to go topless. I will do it. I had no problem. So,
yeah.
And that was the year. I think that was the year. I don't know if you go to the after party. I was in shock when I see those mermaids. They only working with kids, running around the pool all naked. I was like, And I'm the problem. I'm the problem on one.
Right.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, but that always wasn't really nothing. It's just like was the illusion the be naked. So
right.
I had fun. And everybody's still talking about that top.
Well, there you go.
I love it. I love that top. God damn it.
I want to thank you all again for taking the time and sharing your evening with me and with us and sharing your stories. I think narrative is so powerful, like, firsthand accounts and just hearing stories from people. And it goes both ways, right? Because sometimes you hear like one anecdotal story and you're like, that's not science. Just because it happened one time doesn't mean that's how it happens, right? But at the same time, we're humans and we connect to each other's stories. So I really appreciate you all coming and sharing your stories with us. Again, if you have any new last words, feel free to share them.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for put all this together and for having me. And I love you guys. I had the opportunity to see my nephew.
Thank you for starting Merfolk for Black Lives. Like, thank you for having this movement start and getting more MERS aware. And I mean, it's huge. And I'm just so grateful for you to have this forum and everything. This has been great, Shay.
I want to do it again. Like,
we will do something similar soon. Yes.
Like, this was a lot of fun.
This was.
Thank you all for being a part of this. I mean,
Mermagicon 2021. Mermagicon 2021.
There we go.
Thank you, audience. Thank you for all of you who sat with us for 3 hours and just listened to our storytelling. Yeah, we're still in line. We're about to go off. No, so like we stopped the official like Mermaid podcast. We just had to end at some point.
Okay.
These.
Okay. Like all
No,
post.
because they're gonna know about the
Edit
top.
video.
They're gonna know the emerald in the middle.
Well, I need pictures. Please send me pictures. The Mermaid podcast says this is awesome. Thank you for organizing. Thank you so much for hosting us. I can't wait to see it live on the podcast. Yeah, thank you, audience. Thank you, everybody. This has been great. I always sign off with mermaid wishes and bubble kisses. Boop, 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 boop.
Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles.
Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles.
Bye. I love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.